Remember, Mr. Parry is here to help.
Indeed.
We'll try and we've got loads and loads of questions, Mr. Parry.
Yes.
So we're going to try and get through as many of them as possible.
Let's do that.
First one concerns children and holidays.
Right.
And it's from Simon.
Okay.
It says, family holiday, £3,500. Leave on the 26th of August and £2,500 on the 29th of August. Should I take my daughter out of school, risking a fine, but saving £1,000?
Well, I definitely would. I think you'll find that only in the last 10 days we've heard that a particular headmaster took his family on a cycling holiday. He did it in term time because he had all the same pressures and problems as other parents, payments and all that. There's absolutely no doubt that the travel industry penalises and punishes and takes advantage of the fact that parents can only go away in a very narrow window of time. So my answer is, providing you're making provision for your child to catch up on all the education it's missing whilst you're away, I see nothing wrong with it.
OK. How about this coming up from... it's more of a sort of... I don't know, it's more of a personal one, this, right. I suppose. And it says, how did the iron ore crisis affect the Chinese or British steel industry? Are they related to what's happening now?
Yeah.
That comes from Woodenhead.
Yeah, they're absolutely related. What happened is that when China was in boom mode, and so therefore each quarter it was expanding its economy by about 16%, it was building things like power stations. It was building whole cities, actually. Whole cities we've never heard of have got like 12 or 15 million people in them in China, and cities can only be built with the iron girders that form the frames for the skyscrapers that form the buildings in places like Shanghai.
Right.
Now, whilst that demand is there, the iron ore industry was booming in Australia, in Western Australia, near Perth. That's where all the iron ore in the world comes from, or a great deal of it. When the Chinese situation slowed down because the economy was overheating, demand for iron ore fell away, therefore the industry collapsed in Australia. But China found they'd overordered too much steel, and they have now dumped that steel on the world steel markets to try and get rid of it from being a dead weight on their own economy. That, in turn, has led to the fact that we've got a big problem at Port Talbot, particularly as energy costs in this country to produce steel are the highest in the world through stupid government policies to make us all pay for ridiculous things like wind farms and carbon protection taxes.
OK. Thank you very much indeed for that. Ashley in Birmingham says, I'm currently in a deadbeat relationship and have lovely children, but I'm also speaking to an American woman who is very keen on Rogerisation and marriage. Do I stay in this deadbeat relationship, or do I live out my life dream and move to the States? Please help.
I can't understand why anybody stays in a deadbeat relationship. You only get one life. It's not a rehearsal. So you should look to find a fulfilling life for you. The problem is, you've mentioned you have children, therefore that's got to be your first consideration. You must do what you think is best for your children, for their education, for their well-being, for their upbringing. But if you can combine that with going to America and finding a new life for yourself, be adventurous and go for it.
OK. Here's one from Lisa, which is rather topical because it concerns something that we were watching earlier on one of our internal monitors. I wonder, she says, if one of Porky's medical journals could explain if memory loss is sexually transmitted. Carol Malone on the Sky newspaper review tonight said a brave dog was blown up by a, thingy. The host replied, an IED, and she sighed, yes, whatever you know what I mean. Maybe she and Porky are deliberately trying to wipe their memories.
No, I'm not trying to wipe my memories. An IED is an improvised explosive device.
Yes.
Used, sadly, to full effect by horrible people, terrorists and the like, in Afghanistan and certainly in other parts of battle scenes where British soldiers have been, causing terrible injuries.
Why are you answering a question about the IED?
Well, because I don't understand the question.
Oh, OK. Well, we haven't got time for that answer then.
Yeah.
How about this from Pierre? Dear Porky, I was born and raised in South East London near Crystal Palace, but since childhood I have chosen to and still support Liverpool. Am I a proper football supporter or not? Should people support their local team or doesn't it matter?
No, of course you're a proper supporter. Look, I've got nothing against people supporting a team that is not geographically located to where they live. I support Everton, but I live both in London on the south coast, 200 to 300 miles away, although I was born within a few miles of Everton's ground. Now, some people are 3 or 4 years of age, suddenly see a football match on the telly, think, wow, that was spectacular, I'm going to support them. I've got a friend who comes from Lincolnshire who supported Spurs all her life and still does because of one match she saw when she was a child. I've nothing wrong with that at all. The fan that I most despise, or do despise, are those who have supported more than one team during their life just because they've moved house, they've moved their allegiance because they can't keep up the support for their original team. That is despicable.
Here's one from Charlie who says, Porky, who's the funniest person you have ever interviewed?
Funniest person I've ever
you'd say yourself, wouldn't
interviewed.
you?
No, not myself at all. Oh, Torquay beat Chester 2-0 tonight, by the way. I've just seen that on one of our monitors. That's very sad.
Why do you care?
Well, because they're my hometown. Now,
Are you a friend of Chester Football Club as well?
Well, I'm a supporter of theirs. I'm a supporter, yeah.
You send them £100 a year.
No, I don't know, but I go to the occasional match when I'm up in that part of the world. Now, let me just tell you, the funniest person I have ever interviewed is Alan Brazil, without a shadow of a doubt. No, without a shadow of a
I
doubt.
don't doubt that.
I've interviewed a few comedians during my time. I told you a story about Dick Emery.
We haven't got time for a story.
When a friend of ours interviewed him and said, "What's your favourite joke?
Porky.
What's your favourite joke,
This is
Dick?
Ask Porky.
What's your favourite joke, Dick?" He said, "I don't do jokes."
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
This is Ask Porky. Mark says this. Hey, Porky, you used to call yourself the seeker of truth and justice,
Yes.
but I haven't heard you mention it for a while now. Are you still seeking truth and justice? And if so, when is the last time you found any?
I am seeking truth and justice on a daily basis. I do not boast about being the seeker of truth and justice because I think people know intrinsically that I am. The last time I sought truth and justice and came across it was when I took up the campaign to save Tommy the Chimp in New York.
Right.
You will find
How's that going?
that's a campaign that will inevitably and ultimately result in success. That is seeking truth
Well,
and
let's hope
justice.
before he finally pops his clogs, because otherwise, haven't got much time left. Here's one from KB. I put £2 on Leicester City to win the title at the beginning of the year, 1,500 to 1. I'm being offered 1,600. Should I wait or cash out?
No, don't cash out at all. Wait till the end. A, because you were bold enough to make the bet in the first place, so you see it through to the end. But B, now, because with 6 games to go, I'm pretty sure they're going to win it. You'd be a fool to cash out.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question. How about this from Gerard?
Yeah.
Should I get on the Bladderation trail with you after the show on Saturday or go and watch the boxing?
If I were you, mate, I'd enjoy the show as much as you can and certainly go on the Bladderation Trail afterwards. I personally won't be on a big Bladderation Trail on Saturday because I'm on a sort of beer-only diet at the moment. Of course, I'll enjoy a few
you can still
sherbets.
get bladdered on the beer, can't you?
Oh, yes. I'll enjoy a few sherbets with the people who are coming to our show. Looking forward to it very much. See you at the Dance House on Saturday night.
OK. Here's one from Richard. He's an Aston Villa fan. Do I renew my season ticket at the Villa or give my hard-earned cash to a more deserving local lower league club?
Oh, no, I'd renew it at the Villa. It's going to be a very exciting season for Villa fans next season because it's not an emotion I'd want to share, but you are literally going to see make or break for Villa next season. You're either going to come back very, very strongly by getting some assurances from Randy Lerner to get money in, to get a proper manager in, to fight back and do what Newcastle did and come back first season down, or you're going to go down yourselves.
Here's one from Neil. It says, I listen every night when feeding my baby, and I'm worried his first words will either be Rogerisation or bladderation. Should I stop?
No, not at all. A child has got to have a breadth of thought, and the earlier they get the breadth of thought on life, the better. You have to understand that bladderation and Rogerisation are things which affect every human being. So the whole panoply of human emotion is there.
The what?
Panoply, the whole
Panoply?
panoply. Yes, of human emotion is there.
Right.
Fear not.
OK. How about this one from Thomas? A slow trend of vegetarianism is taking over, including my in-laws and friends. How can I stay a carnivore?
Well, just keep eating meat. And by the way, don't be put under any emotional pressure just to eat vegetables yourself. Vegetarians, if they're genuine about what they do for their health and all that, that's fine. I respect them for it. I do not respect anybody who's a vegetarian because it's trendy. I don't like trendy people.
OK. Matthew says this. My football club has seen the value of its prime asset drop in value this year as his form has worsened and our star forward is likely to leave in the summer for Champions League football. If this was how you would deal, if this was you, how would you deal with the situation?
We deal with the situation by making sure the players who play for you know of the ambition of the club. A very ambitious club run by the right people and with great fans will always succeed.
OK. Here's one on property from Josh. As a property investor, Porky, do you happen to have any recommendations?
Well, I'm very disappointed with the property situation at the moment because the government, who claimed when they asked us to vote for them that they're a low-tax government, in fact have become a very heavily taxing government, and they're sticking ridiculously heavy taxes on property investment at the moment. Get a good accountant and try and work out a way to pay as little tax as possible on a situation which has become onerous and anti-business and non-competitive.
Now, Sean is asking a very personal financial question.
Yes.
You may wish to decline to answer this one.
Right.
What's the biggest amount you could sign a cheque for right now?
I can't answer that question because, to be perfectly
You haven't got
honest...
your checkbook.
Well, I haven't got my checkbook, but it would depend on what sort of cheque, what it was for...
One that doesn't bounce.
Where I was going to draw it from, for what purpose I was going to cash it. I honestly can't answer that question. I'm delighted to be able to say that I have a comfortable position in life, as do many people, and it's something that I have worked for the last 45 years.
Kayang says, Porky, would you rather be ugly and live forever or become attractive and die in a year?
Well...
Not sure you got the choice.
Well, I'd rather be me as I am, and I have no problems with it at all. I have never... had a problem about trying to stem me losing my hair as people do when they get older. I would never consider plastic surgery. I don't go around getting, white gnashes stuck in my mouth and all that. You take me as you see me, and I feel comfortable in my own skin.
That's very good. Next one's from Kurt. Porky, how much do you weigh?
I weigh approximately...
you can do it in kilos if you wish.
About 82 kilos.
82 kilos?
Yes, about 82, 83 kilos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for those of us on the non-metric system,
Yes.
I'll get that changed.
Okay.
Rob says, I'm off to Ibiza on Thursday for a holiday. Mr. Porky, could you kindly suggest something for me to do when I get there, please?
Well, pretty obviously you're going to Ibiza. I haven't been to Ibiza for many, many years.
I've never been to Ibiza.
But I don't think I have, actually. I've been to Mallorca, that's right. I haven't been to Ibiza, sorry. But it's, as I understand it, it is Party Island. So the basic tenets of a Party Island holiday are bladderisation, Rogerisation, and complete lack of discipline.
Yeah, and morals of an alley cat behaviour, presumably.
Yes.
Jack says, have you ever lost anything down a grid? And if so, what?
No.
I assume that means a drain, doesn't it?
Yeah, a grid like on the in the gutter,
street,
the gutter. Yeah. Well, funny enough, and it's funny you should say that. Actually, it's almost mesmic or cosmic. This. I opened the door to my car the other night, and as I did, the key almost slipped out of my hand, and my heart skipped because as I looked into the gutter, where the car was parked, there was a grid right below, and I thought, blimey, if I'd have lost that key down that gutter, I'd never got it back.
So you call it a grid, right?
Yeah.
So that means this person must come from the same part of the world as you, because when I read that question first, I wasn't sure what he meant.
Yeah, a grid is the.
I call it a drain.
Well, it's the grid, but the grid is the cover over the drain.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, one more.
All right, last one. Finally, have you worn, says Tex, ever worn a hat for fashion reasons?
Have I ever worn a hat for fashion reasons? Yes, I wore my Peaky Blinders hat last time we were on stage in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And the reason I did, it was given to me by the writer of Peaky Blinders, who invited me to the screening of the last episode of the second series. His name is Stephen Knight.
Yeah.
And he brought the hat to the screening for me and presented it to me. I'm very, very proud to wear it. It's the only hat I've ever worn.
Okay. Are you going to wear
I've got an Everton bobble hat. I've got an Everton woolly bobble hat.
Are you going to wear it to Manchester?
No, I'm not going to wear it to Manchester. It has no relevance to Manchester.
No, indeed.
No.
Okay, that was Ask Porky.
Yes.
More of the same time next week.
Yes.
Of course, we are the two mics.
She ain't got no money, her clothes are kind of funny, her hair is kind of wild and free. Oh, for love flows where my rosemary goes, and nobody knows how
See? Get the
I
connection?
remember the song.
Yeah.
I remember the song.
What were they called? What was that group called?
Well, a lot of people are texting in and saying it was Edison Lighthouse.
It is Edison Lighthouse.
But it doesn't sound like Edison Lighthouse.
It was
to me.
Edison Lighthouse. I think they only ever made one record,
Yeah.
and I
So,
think
do you know what? I'm thinking of Lighthouse Family. That's
the Lighthouse
it was
family.
Edison
Yeah.
Lighthouse,
It was Edison Lighthouse. I think
Yeah.
they ever made one record, and I think the guy behind it was Jonathan King,
Oh, possibly.
who at the time I believe was a Cambridge University student.
Uh-huh.
Who suddenly happened upon music because he had a talent for arranging gigs at Cambridge University,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right.
And thought, hang on, I know how to make this work. And then he invented all those sort of bubblegum groups like, you talk about the
Well, there
Archies
was
and
one
all
a
that.
week, wasn't there?
Yeah, that's
practically?
right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Incredible. Now, a couple of different views coming in on the old wedding front. Here's one from Zach in Plymouth, who's
Yes.
texted into 81089. Says, I'm getting married soon, and we refuse to let my fiance's dad to pay for the wedding. Both of our parents have contributed a small financial donation instead. Father of the bride's paying for weddings is a thing of the past.
Right.
However, Bob says, I agree with Mike Parry regarding your daughter's forthcoming wedding. Any proud father would offer unlimited financial support.
Exactly.
Well, you're totally wrong about that, Bob. And frankly, what
Yeah.
what you do with your daughter is entirely up to you. What I do with mine is entirely up to me.
I've told my my niece rather, that when she gets married, I would be very happy to, give as much financial support as possible. Although her parents
Well, that's very kind of you.
are in a
And I'm
position
sure she'll be
to
very
do
grateful.
it, I would like to contribute as part of the family.
Well, why don't you just buy her a nice present?
And I think that's part of my duty. By the way, just for a second, I've got an update on that village. Right, all these people live to over 100.
Oh, yeah.
300 of them over 100. I told you what the village was called, didn't I? It's the residents of Aki Aroli
Yeah.
near Salerno. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
the mayor's not amongst the number. He got shot by the mafia.
Which is not really something to laugh at, but for some reason it seems funny.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I suppose there's not much point in eating a lot of rosemary if you're going to end up getting assassinated
Exactly.
by the local,
Exactly.
Black Hand, whatever they call
Exactly,
it.
yeah. Bit of
because-
bad luck, that, really, isn't
Yeah,
it? You know, not
yeah.
much point, really, is there living in a village where you can survive till 105 if, along the way, you know, you copper a belly full of lead.
Yeah, well, maybe that's one of the reasons that there's so many people living to an old age there,
Yeah,
because
maybe.
they don't worry about crime,
Yeah,
because,
sure,
you know,
yeah.
in some of these villages
right,
where
yeah.
they're protected, if you know what I mean, then there's no stress for them.
Another fascinating fact is that Ernest Hemingway, you know, we were trying to remember the name of his books last night.
Yeah.
Ernest Hemingway went to stay there for 3 weeks after he completed the writing and submitting the manuscript of one of his most famous books, The Old Man and the Sea.
The Old Man and the Sea. It's funny you say that, actually,
Yeah.
because what I was going to say was, I was
Yeah.
listening to something today
Yeah.
when I was driving around, and Hemingway's name came up. And suddenly they reeled off all these books, all of which I suddenly recognised.
Yeah, as
I
his
couldn't think
book,
of
yeah.
one of them last
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah, I know.
Rob says this, Porky's so
Yeah.
out of touch, the so-called man of the people, St. Lucia, there are no cheap holidays there.
St. Lucia.
Hashtag plank.
Well, my family go there all the time, and I can agree with that. They go on a Virgin plane,
Yeah.
right, and they go upper class.
I mean, to be honest, there's very little cheap holidaying to be done anywhere in the world these
no, I
days.
totally agree.
You know?
They go on upper class, right, and they go to St. Lucia.
Who's this you're talking about?
I'm talking about my,
Your sort of immediate family.
well, I'm talking about my two sisters and brothers-in-law.
Right. Why don't you go with them?
Well, because I've not got time, to be honest. And they
I'll
sometimes...
give you a couple of weeks off.
They sometimes go with my niece, right?
Yeah.
So maybe 5 of
Well,
them.
you would enjoy it. You should go.
And the last time they went, I remember, and I think it was like for 10 days, it was 30 grand.
For how many of them?
5.
5. Yeah,
Yeah,
6 grand a piece.
it is very, very expensive.
It's a ridiculous amount
yeah.
of money.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I mean, and people are having to pay out, even people who you would think couldn't afford to pay out
That's right.
quite as much as that.
That's right.
But certainly if you go for a 2-week holiday that involves getting on a plane
That's right.
and involves going to a hotel,
Yeah.
you're probably looking at least 2,000 a piece,
No, I totally agree. I get really fed up, with the finances of this country. Do you know what I found out today?
What did you find out?
Do you know what a PFI deal is?
PFI?
Yeah.
Yeah, Private Finance Initiative.
Yes, and do you know what that means?
It means that basically the public gets to pay an awful lot of money into a scheme,
Well-
which is to some extent supported by private funding. The private funding people then get to take all the profits out, and the public get left with the debt. That's how it works.
It's even worse than that. It's even worse that way. What these politicians do is to
one
make
of the
out...
worst ideas of all time.
And by a factor of times 1,000.
Yeah.
What the politicians? It all started in the Gordon Brown era. The genius chancellor. Managed to nearly bankrupt the country. The idea is, but it goes on to today, because any politician who can see an advantage in not having to spend money or borrowing money will do it, even though they have different political philosophies. So what happens is, let's build a load of hospitals. Oh, yeah, good idea. We'll save a bit of money from the vast amount of taxes that we take off the people. Oh, no. There's nothing to spare. Go out and borrow a few
But
billion.
it's like the way they run the railways as well.
Yeah.
People are making money hand over fist
That's
running the
right.
railways, which are being run into the ground.
Yeah.
And these privateers, for want of a better word,
Yeah.
are making all the money, and we're having to pay for it all.
Oh, the idea on the railways is that, they don't make profits, they just handle the running of the
Yeah,
railway.
yeah, right.
You want to see the charges they charge for running the railways. But anyway, on the PFI, so it's, I tell you, I'll go and borrow a few billion,
Yeah.
right, and then build 3 hospitals, right, and then the hospitals have money to run them each month, right, and then half of that money is then used to pay off the debt for
Yeah.
building the hospital
Yeah.
from the taxpayer.
And then the taxpayer leases usually the actual structure of the building.
That's right.
For a period of years, like 10 years, and then pays a mortgage on it effectively, which gives more billions back to the people who have put the money in the
And
first
do you know
place.
what they write into the deal?
What?
That the servicing of the building also remains the property of the people who built it, so that when a light bulb goes, you can only replace the light bulb by ringing up the people who built your building, and they replace it at a cost of £7 instead of 70p.
Yeah.
That's the great fiddle. Listen to this here. Every adult in Britain faces a debt of more than £4,000 each to pay for the controversial PFI funding scheme to rebuild schools, hospitals and public buildings.
Yeah.
Latest figures show private companies are owed, you'll faint when I read you this now, Latest
I'll try
figures
not to.
show private companies are owed over £209 billion to be paid in the next 35 years as a result of
by the government. Or owed by the government.
by the government, which has got to be drawn off the taxpayer, right?
Marvellous.
£209 billion from the public purse as a result of more than 700 private finance initiatives. By the time the contracts have all been paid in the year 2049/50, they will have cost £307 billion,
It's just crazy, isn't it?
which is more than 5 times the £57 billion the buildings will be worth by then.
I know. Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's like a pyramid scheme. But the only people
is.
that actually benefit from it are the privateers. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Absolutely bonkers.
I mean, it drives me mad. It drives me mad. Why don't people who run this country run it on a basis of if it was their own house, their own shop, if it was their own business, they'd run it more carefully than wasting vast amounts of money.
It comes back to your assertion or assertion, I should say, a quite frequent assertion that all politicians don't really know how to run anything.
No, they don't know how to run anything.
They if you give them some money, they'll inevitably not only lose it, but come back to you and say, you now owe me some more.
I saw a former Home Secretary reviewing the papers tonight on a Sky News programme.
Yeah.
And she was the one who used to live in the back room of her sister's terraced house in London and call it her official home.
Whose husband claimed for porn movies.
Whose husband claimed for porn movies. Unbelievable.
I know.
Politicians,
Incredible.
I tell you what, they are, in my mind, a group of people...
A blight.
Whose credibility is questionable every hour of the day.
Now, how about this from William? Has Porky ever considered having his body frozen when he dies, i.e. cryonics, and coming back into the future to be the true man of the people?
No.
I have to say, I mean, we've done this story before, I'm sure.
Yes.
But there was a cryogenics clinic set up, I believe, somewhere in the Midwest.
Oh, yeah?
Somewhere like Michigan.
Yeah.
But you would be a man after your own heart. This guy was a genius, right? This is a guy who convinced people to give him $10,000 or something, or maybe even $30,000 for after they died, to have their heads cut off and frozen.
That's right.
In the hopes that in the future, science would have evolved so much that you could actually reattach the head to a new body and you could live again. I mean, imagine what sort of scam is that? I mean, that's even better than the wheelie bin
It is,
scam.
actually, yeah.
Well, you actually take money from people before they die. When they die, you cut their heads off, put them in an ice box,
And then forget about them.
That's
right. Well, sorry, what's the wheelie bin scam?
Well, the wheelie bin scam was the guy that came up with the idea of wheelie bins in the first place. I
Right.
mean, you must remember, we never always had wheelie bins.
No, we didn't.
Now every single home in Britain has a wheelie bin.
Yeah.
The guy that makes the wheelie bins has become a multi-billionaire.
Well, I'm not surprised. But has he got a patent on it?
Well, of course he has.
Well, yeah, but other people still make near wheelie
but
bins.
my point is that he went to every council and said, you need to have these wheelie bins.
Yes.
He went to the government. They lobbied for, cleaner bins.
Yeah.
And they lobbied for better environmental protection.
Sure.
Suddenly, everybody has to have an item of which is quite expensive to buy if you have to buy one.
I totally agree.
And this guy's made a fortune.
I tell you what, why are humans so thick? Up till 20 years ago...
I think it's generic.
Up to 20 years ago, we didn't have wheels on suitcases.
Genetic, I mean.
Yeah, we didn't have wheels on suitcases.
Yeah.
So I remember as a kid when we used to go on holiday to Mallorca, right, you'd get to Manchester Airport and then your dad would get all the cases out the back of the car.
Yeah.
Then he'd have the two heaviest ones, which used to rip his arms out of his shoulder sockets.
But that's what you call a very good sort of evolution.
Of course it is,
of travel bags.
But
isn't it?
the suitcase with wheels on it should have been invented in the 19th century, not in 1978.
Right.
It was ridiculous.
I know.
And then, the little kids had to...
But in the 19th century, the only people that had them were people that had servants to lob them around.
Yeah, that's true, absolutely. If you watch Downton Abbey, you're absolutely right, the early 1920s.
They're all trunks,
They all
aren't
come
they?
out, they put the trunks in the back of the cars.
Yeah.
I mean, why are we so thick we couldn't remember to put wheels on suitcases?
Well, maybe they just didn't have
from
the technology.
From the year 1652 or something. It's pretty obvious, isn't it?
Well, I don't think they had suitcases in 1652. But
Of course
also,
they did. How do you think they travelled?
It was just before the fire of London, they'd all been destroyed.
Yeah, when Sir Francis Drake got on his boat,
Have you seen the time?
what do you think he took his new breeches in?
You didn't take in a Samson, what do they call it? American Tourister.
American Tourister? No, but he must have taken in something. Must have had some sort of a case.
Well, he had a big box.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure he did. The breeches
Well, of
box.
course he
Never
did.
heard of the breeches box. I'm
Of course
telling
he
you.
had a box.
We've got pictures now of raccoons being taken in Hampshire, County Durham, and Berkshire.
What?
Yeah, pictures of
Let's have a look.
raccoons.
Show me.
What?
Show me the pictures.
Right, there's a picture there from a report I found earlier on the internet. What's the problem?
That's not a picture of a raccoon. That is a picture of what could be anything.
It's a raccoon. Look at the
Could be anything.
Look at the design. Its tail.
Yeah, it could be anything.
It's a raccoon.
Yeah, but that picture there is just a stock picture of a raccoon. I'm talking about the one on the right.
No, that's
The one on
definitely
the
a
right.
raccoon.
No, it's not.
Definitely a raccoon.
It could be a badger.
The fugitive was caught on camera during enjoying a nighttime meal. Now,
Enjoying a nighttime meal.
yeah, the raccoon in question, latest to be spotted in Britain. Conservationists warning there could be health and environmental consequences if the population explodes here. The animal's native to North America.
That's what I just told you.
Native to North America.
So how did they get here?
Well, this is
They
the
didn't
point.
swim, did they?
Are already widespread in Europe. Now, do you know who's got the most raccoons in Europe?
I don't know.
The Germans.
Have they?
Yeah, there's loads of raccoons in Germany.
Raccoons?
Raccoons. There's over 1 million raccoons in Germany. How about that?
Really?
But now they're getting a foothold in the UK.
Yeah, well, they'll probably start sending them back soon, won't they?
How about this? A raccoon the size of a domestic cat
Yeah.
was found in the Scottish Highlands. What's your problem?
You make it sound like they're on some kind of mission on holiday. or
Well, it's
something.
right.
There's one raccoon who didn't fancy Germany, so he decided to hop across to Scotland.
It was at Garvey in the Rossshire. Do you know Garvey?
Garvey?
Garvey.
How do you spell that?
Garve.
Garve.
Garvey in
I
Rossshire.
suspect it's not pronounced like that.
Okay.
Garve, maybe. I don't know.
Right now,
I've never been there.
Although the raccoon is a pest and it may seem harmless at first glance, raccoons have been known to give humans vicious bites.
Yeah, well, dogs can give humans vicious bites as
Yeah.
well. I've seen loads of raccoons.
They're a threat to birds. Where? Where have you seen raccoons?
In America, when I stay at my
Oh,
sister's
well,
house.
yeah, I know that. Yeah,
But
no.
when I stay at my sister's house,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you don't put the rubbish out in the
No.
same way you don't put it out here because of the foxes. You don't put the rubbish out because the raccoons will
Yeah,
get into it.
exactly.
So what you do is you get a lid for your bin.
Yeah.
But you have to get an actual lid that kind of is sealed closed.
But we
You know,
don't-
like you couldn't if you had
Sure,
a wheelie bin.
sure.
You'd have to like lock it shut.
Yes, 'cause the
raccoons are
raccoon
quite
would get
clever,
in, yeah.
and they can climb in. But I mean, I've seen
Yeah.
loads of them. You see them at dusk. You
I
see them
know,
running
but you
about.
don't see them in this country, do you?
Well, apparently now you do. But I mean, the point is they're not dangerous as such.
The
They're no more
raccoons-
dangerous than anything else.
Well, they are,
They're
because
no
you
more
know why?
dangerous than foxes or badgers.
They are.
Why?
They carry the West Nile virus.
Well, they don't.
No, they
They're
do.
Rubbish.
They do.
Absolute cobblers.
No, they do. Now, let me tell you a bit about raccoons, right?
Yeah.
They're omnivores.
Yeah.
They eat insects, worms, frogs, toads, birds, eggs, and fruit.
Well, they eat lots of other things as well. If you're an omnivore, you eat everything, basically.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
They don't eat each other, though, do they?
No, they don't, no.
They're not
now,
cannibals.
They can grow up to 52 inches long. That's over 4 foot.
I'm glad you said inches. I thought you were going to say feet for a
No.
minute there.
With an
Imagine a
18-inch tail.
52-foot-long raccoon. That would be scary.
With an 18-inch tail.
Yeah, yeah. I've
And-
seen loads of them.
Yeah, and they can live for 20 years, okay?
Yeah, but, you know, there's no evidence whatsoever, apart from one very fuzzy-looking picture there
No.
on the internet,
No.
that they're in any way here.
No. Listen, the distinctive bandit mask that raccoons have around their eyes is a
What, you mean the
magical...
black and white colouring.
No, it's a magical force of nature which helps them to reduce glare because of their night vision.
Really?
Because they're night creatures.
Yeah, nocturnal.
They're
they
night
call that.
creatures. Yeah, nocturnal, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah. Wild population in Germany, France and Spain. In the mating season, males roam around in search of females who can conceive over a 3 to 4 day period. That's all. That's all.
What? So that's the only.
That's it. That's the
opening-
gestation
the only
period, yeah.
opportunity for them.
That's
well,
right, yeah.
Well, I suppose in some ways that's not a bad thing. I'll
Yeah.
tell you what's going on at the moment in the countryside.
Yes, go on.
is a lot of mating by foxes.
Foxes.
There's a lot of noises.
They make a lot of
I'll
screaming noise.
I'll tell you what else they do.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I was the recipient of it for
No.
2 days this weekend, both Friday and yesterday.
No.
Is they leave a sort of a trail, right?
Yeah.
And the dog loves nothing more than to roll about in this stuff that they leave on the ground, which
What is it?
stinks. Well, it's not quite, what you would expect them to leave behind, but it's a kind of, I don't know how you would describe
It's
it.
like their own sort of
It's their own kind of scent.
identifiable. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. But it's also it's something
Yes.
you
Yeah, I
can't
know
really
what you
see
mean.
and
Yeah,
go
yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
But the dog,
It's like the sort of thing a slug leaves behind when it moves across
kind
the
of, yeah.
pavement.
I think
that sort
that's
of
what it
thing.
is. And
Yeah.
the thing is, the dog, it is to the dog, this is like some kind of drug.
Yeah, I see.
And if the
Yeah.
dog sees it,
Yeah.
he literally just has to roll around in it, and
Yeah.
he gets himself all smeared in it, and it stinks. So
it's
twice
horrible.
this weekend, I had to wash the dog.
Horrible.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what else is worrying. There's a
Yeah, go on.
sign been put up not far from the house.
Oh, yes.
On a public footpath.
Yeah.
Which says that there is an E. coli-like virus
dear.
going around in the area. Right, which affects dogs, and one dog got it walking in the nearby woods and
Yeah.
died.
I thought E. coli was a human disease.
No, well, it can be it can be passed between animals and humans.
Can it?
And I
That's
think
very
there-
dangerous.
And they say it's an E. coli-like disease, so it's not necessarily
I mean,
E.
if
coli.
your dog passed E. coli onto you, you're in trouble. Believe
well,
me.
I just don't want
E.
him to
coli
get
is terrible.
no, but I don't want him to get sick though.
Well, of course
So the
not.
recommendation.
But if he gets sick, he might bring it into the house.
Well, yeah, I've been more concerned about him, though, to be honest.
Where's this come from?
Well, it's something that's going on at the moment. There's something
this
called
is very worrying.
There's something called Alabama rot as well, which dogs can get, which can
Very,
also
very
be deadly.
worrying.
So apparently now what you have to do is every time you get the dog back from a walk, you have to wash his paws in Dettol.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, well, you have to.
Do you
Yeah,
remember,
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you remember when the old mad cow disease?
Yeah,
epidemic
yeah,
was
you have
going
to
on?
go across a mat
And
full
I used to fly backwards and
full of
forwards
Dettol.
to Ireland quite
That's
a lot
right,
from
yeah.
Scotland, and you'd have to walk into this mat with your feet.
Terrible, yeah, shocking.
It's very frightening out there. So
Yeah,
I don't
very
want you
frightening.
scaring people anymore with all this nonsense talk of raccoons.
Plague on the Cheshire Plain.
What?
Well, when I was a reporter on the Chester Chronicle...
Was that one of yours?
No, it was foot and mouth disease.
Right.
Devastating the Cheshire Plain.
Right.
And I covered a lot of that.
So presumably your scaremongering days started then?
Well, you could say that, but it wasn't scaremongering. I mean, farmers were wiping out the whole herds of cattle, with foot and mouth.
Yeah, I know, but it was scaremongering because they were wiping out herds of cattle, which they've now since said they may not have had to do. Posty in
Yes.
Brum says this, MG, can you tell Porky that olive oil prices are still the same price as months ago, despite Porky's warning of a world shortage?
Well, I tell
now
you...
he's talking about bananas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there'll be a world shortage of bananas, all right. Don't
Yeah.
worry about that. If I were you,
I'm not worried.
I'd start...
stockpiling them?
Yeah, stockpiling bananas.
Well,
They're
they
going to
go
get
off.
very expensive.
They go off.
Put them in a freezer.
Put them in the freezer.
Yeah, you can put bananas in the freezer.
Yeah, but they're no good afterwards. You have to make banana bread
No,
out of them.
how do you think they're transported all the way from the Caribbean and South
Well,
America?
they're not frozen.
Of course they are.
No, they're not.
Well,
They're
they wouldn't last long, would
They're
they?
refrigerated.
Yeah, refrigerated.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
they take them off the thing when they're green.
Yeah.
And they literally become ripe. Why do you think sometimes when you see them in a supermarket,
Yeah.
they're green?
Because they've not ripened sufficiently. That's why.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. And then they ripen and then you eat them.
Yeah, okay.
That's
well,
how
I'm-
they transport them.
Yeah, but
you
how
can't
long-
freeze bananas.
Listen, how long do you think it takes a boat full of bananas to get from Buenos Aires
Yeah.
in
Why are they going
Argentina?
from there if they go in the Caribbean?
No, that most bananas are produced in South America. So Venezuela, for instance,
Okay.
produces lots of bananas. How long do you think it takes a boat to get from Venezuela to Portsmouth?
I don't know, about a week.
About a week, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, you can't leave bananas locked up in containers without refrigeration for a week.
No, they
go back.
refrigerated containers and they're not ripe.
That's what I just said.
So they haven't ripened yet. I've just explained
I just said that they're frozen.
No,
and
frozen and refrigerated is not the same
No,
thing.
it's not the same thing. I know.
Dear God.
But I'm saying if you've got them in your house, put them in the fridge.
Okay, so
Okay.
don't freeze them then.
Well, you can if you like. That's an extreme measure. But I mean, probably better to put them in the fridge, actually, on reflection.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Good.
We've clarified that.
Good.
Don't freeze your bananas. Does that stir the sinew for you?
Well, I think it is a very stirring.
It's a great national anthem.
National anthem. I totally agree. And
Almost every national anthem, apart from the British national anthem, is great.
well, I love the British national anthem because
Do
it's
you?
ours. Yeah.
It's a dirge, though.
Well, it's ours.
terrible dirge.
And so it certainly stirs my emotions. But what I was going to say was, whenever I hear that, I imagine Charles de Gaulle
Do you?
standing on the Champs Elysees,
Yeah.
with his
You're right.
his épée hat on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I tell you
Day
what,
of the Jackal.
yeah, that's right, absolutely. I tell you what I read today.
Taxi Man says this. Porky in his French reminds me of Del Boy,
Oh, really?
which I think is about right.
I don't think that's right at all. What I was going to say to you was, if we decided now, I tell you, let's push off to Paris for the weekend
Yeah.
on the Eurostar.
On the Eurostar.
you get fantastic deals in hotels in Paris because, sadly, since the attacks on the continent, both in Paris and Brussels,
Yeah.
hotel rates have dropped by 50%.
I'm sure that's true. I was listening actually to something again yesterday about Sharm el Sheikh, which is more or less
it's
a
deserted,
ghost, now
isn't it?
a ghost town.
Yeah, I know.
And they're probably going to have to shut down an awful lot of the hotels.
It's
because
terrible.
of,
It's a
all the
terrible
things that have
shame.
happened. It's absolutely awful.
Terrible shame.
We've got lots more coming up.
Certainly have.
Here's one from D, who says, Porky asking grannies to come to the matinee. For heaven's sake, it's not 1905.
Tell about
he says.
grannies. I never mentioned grannies.
Well, I think he's just...
I said when I
just
go to
sort
a
of-
matinee on a Tuesday afternoon, I call it the matinee.
Yeah, William
Everybody
says...
calls it the matinee.
Nobody does. Rosemary says William was sung by Slim Whitman.
Hey?
Slim Whitman.
What, Rosemary?
Yeah, don't sing it again.
I love you.
Don't sing it again.
That's Slim Whitman. I thought he was a bit of a, half-baked, to be honest.
So Nub says, try
He used to
listening...
wear check shirts, didn't he?
Well, that's like you wear check shirts.
I only wear check shirts if
You had
they're
a check shirt
fashionable.
on the other night.
Yeah, fashionable.
Nub says, try listening to C6 Steve, proper hobo. He makes music from planks, nails, and wire. Awesome sound.
Yeah, it sounds awesome, yeah.
And here's one from Pirol, who says, you want a cheap holiday? Go to Thailand. 1 month, £600 for flights and accommodation, 330 quid. Skyscanner flights, £270 for an apartment.
I'm very suspicious of people who go to Thailand for their holidays.
Are you?
Yeah.
Only you can say something like that.
Well, aren't you?
No, I'm not at all suspicious of people who go to Thailand for their
Do you know
holidays.
what the biggest industry is?
Yeah,
Sex.
well, in some ways it is, but
Yeah.
not in all ways.
Yeah, well, I'm very suspicious of people who go to
you can
Thailand for their
Phuket
holidays.
and, stay away from all that. There's some beautiful parts of the country.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody's sex obsessed.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm surprised you know so much about it. Not.
I've never been to Thailand. Have you?
I've never been to Thailand.
Well,
no.
how do you know then?
Because I know. I know these things.
Okay.
Talk Sport.
And it's in!
A diving header at the end of a 50-yard run.
From the root to the tip.
Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later. Lots of reaction to your French, or franglais,
Yes.
as I would call it.
Yes.
Roy also says, tell that idiot that Boxcar Willie was in the US Air Force from 1949 to 1976.
Was he?
He was anything but a bum.
Oh.
And then he says, you're a judgmental plank.
Well, hang on. Why was he called Boxcar Willie? You told me it's because you told me, you informed
Well,
me
you're
that
the
he used to
expert.
get around in America in boxcars by fraudulently climbing on board trains for which he paid no fare.
Which a lot of people did
to
in
get
those
on
days.
board.
A lot of
eh?
people did that. D says, Porky's good at O-levels, but not in French.
No.
Pascal says, pret-a-manger is French. Can Porky pronounce it, please?
Prêt à manger.
Yeah, pret-a-manger.
Prêt à manger.
Here's one from Craig, who says that Porky should really master English rather than French. Oui, le plank.
no, I think
Rob
you'll-
calls you le plank as well.
I think you'll find that my command of English is almost excellent.
And D is asking me, and I've asked you this before, can you
Right.
please ask Porky to confirm or deny his proficiency at A-levels? Au revoir.
A levels 4.
Yeah. 4 A-levels?
4.
What'd you get those in then?
History,
Yeah.
English,
Yeah.
Economics,
Oh, yeah.
general studies.
General studies. That doesn't count.
It does.
General studies does not count.
Well, it was an
That's
A-level in my day,
that's
and,
it's a cop-out, though.
No.
That will
no.
not get you into Oxbridge, as you call it,
I think
which is
you-
why you didn't get in.
I think you'll.
You can't do an A-level in general studies.
I did do it, and I went for my interview at Brasenose College, Oxford.
Yeah, and you didn't get in.
I chose elsewhere. It's as simple as that.
Hey, here's one, right? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people have been moaning
Right.
about BT's coverage of the Manchester City game last night.
Oh, yeah, did they miss a
Steve said-
goal?
well, I'm not sure, because I
Right.
didn't see it on
Okay,
BT.
okay.
I got a French word for Porky to say Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Apparently, Michael Owen couldn't manage it earlier.
Oh, I can.
And also, apparently, I read on Twitter that Gary Lineker was stumbling over his words. A couple of people said, have Gary Lineker and Michael Owen been to the... have they been to the Mike Parry School of Commentating?
Or it was in Paris, of course, tonight, wasn't it?
Certainly was.
Had they taken a sniff of the French vino?
The Vino.
Yeah, I
Do you
doubt
mean
it.
Van?
The van.
Vino
van.
is, of course, Italian.
That's right, yeah, the
Is it
van.
not?
Yeah, but I'm not accusing them of being intoxicated under
No,
any
that wouldn't be
circumstances.
right.
They're top professionals.
Dev says, what about limousine? Is that a French word?
Limousine. Yeah, could be, I suppose.
Hmm.
You've got to remember, there's a lot of French influence in the American lexicon.
Well,
because,
not really, because they get it all wrong, don't they?
yeah, but they get it wrong. But you've got to remember
They
that, for
call it
instance,
filet.
New Orleans used to be owned by the French.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
You pronounce it New Orleans.
Nolans, and you have to also remember that the dastardly French ganged up against us in the American War of Independence.
The French.
Yeah,
Well, they would, wouldn't they?
yeah, they ganged up the Americans
Well, they're
against
sworn,
us.
sworn enemies.
Who were sworn enemies? That's absolutely right.
How
yeah.
about this from Stephen? He said, guys,
Yeah.
the linguistic device where, to use your example, Fleet Street represents journalism is called metonymy.
What?
You ever heard of that? Metonymy.
Metonymy is what?
MET.
What is metonymy?
Metonymy is the linguistic device where, to use your example, Fleet Street represents journalism, as in Oxbridge represents
Oh, I
Oxford
see.
and
Yeah,
Cambridge.
yeah, I see. Yeah.
He's
Okay.
just giving it a sort of a collective noun.
I understand that. So, for instance, what else is a metonymy? Let me just think here. For instance...
Well, see, I think the combination of Oxford and Cambridge...
Hoover.
What?
Hoover.
No, it's not the same.
Hoover was originally a machine that picked up...
Well, Hoover is a brand name.
That's what I mean. Dust off a carpet. And then when other people made similar machines, they're all called Hoovers.
Yeah, but in America, for example, you don't say Hoover. In America, you say vacuum.
Oh, I say Hoover. In fact,
Oh,
I'll tell
you
you
might
what,
say
I got a
Hoover.
bloke the
Have you
sack
got a
once.
Hoover?
I got a bloke the sack once in
That doesn't surprise me.
in a furniture shop in New York
A furniture shop.
Yeah,
What
I
were you
get-
buying furniture for?
for my apartment in New York.
But you had a furniture department.
No, I didn't. No,
Why not?
because I didn't want one. I wanted to finish it myself, so I did.
You wanted to furnish your own apartment?
Yeah, I did,
And
yeah.
this was paid for by the Daily Express?
Well, they paid for the apartment, and I paid for the furniture. Well, no, they paid for the furniture.
No, they
That's
paid
true.
for the
That's
furniture.
true. They did. Yeah, I wanted
That's
good
ludicrous.
furniture.
What a waste of money.
I wanted good furniture.
No wonder that
It was
the
up on,
journalism trade is now in such decline.
It was up on 77th and 1st. Anyway, so I go into this shop, right, and there's this really chippy-mouthy shop assistant guy to buy a bed.
Was it sort of Midtown type shop?
It was, actually. It was Midtown, absolutely. One of them big, Midtown things, like 55th or something like that,
but like one of these, mattress warehouse type places.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because the thing I was always impressed with in New York is you could order a mattress and get it delivered within 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It was all, well, the service was brilliant. Everything works in America.
Because it once occurred to me that, if you were, particularly out on the pull, as you used to call it,
yes.
rather unsavouryly, if you could order a mattress and get them to deliver it into Central Park.
Oh, disgrace.
Well, it just occurred to I don't know why it occurred to me. I never did
Well,
it.
that sort of thing would occur to you, alley cat type existence. Anyway, the point of my story is...
Yeah, go on.
So I go in there, and of course, in this country, we are used to box beds. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you've got a mattress, you put it on top of a box,
Yes.
don't you? They call it a box bed.
It's called a box spring mattress.
Box spring mattress, that's right, yeah. Anyway, I go in this shop, and all they've got are beds raised on frames.
Uh-huh.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
like a
sort
cross
of
frame.
Yeah, like a wooden type bed with sort of slats
Yes,
that
that's
you
right.
put the mattress on top of.
Yes, but supported on what I'd call like an A-frame. You see what I mean? Like a metal A-frame.
Well, what do you mean without proper legs?
Well, it was no box. It was just a frame that you put it on.
Right.
So anyway,
Well, that's okay, isn't it?
well, yeah, but the conversation I had was this: this guy who was trying to sell me this was regarding me as a dumb limey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
he
said,
wasn't that far wrong, really, was he?
he was very wrong. So I said, all these beds are very nice. I said, look, back in England, I said, we have what's called box beds. I said, and I feel more comfortable with one of those. Do you have any box beds?
Yeah.
And he said, no, sir, we don't have any box beds. And I said, oh, why is that then? He said, why is that? Because in America, we like to vacuum under our beds. And he said it, I said, I'm sorry, what did you say?
That is a good point, actually. That is a good point, because you can't vacuum under a box spring mattress.
So I said, sorry, are you trying to say that because I'm English, I don't
You're
have the
filthy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have the same.
You wouldn't like that.
No, I didn't like it. I said, excuse me, are you trying to say because I'm English, I don't look after my house like you'd look after yours?
Yeah.
Trying to say that I'm a dirty individual who doesn't vacuum under his bed?
Yeah.
I said,
Well, you can't, can you?
Yeah, of course you can. You push the box bed aside and you vacuum, and then you push it the other way and you vacuum.
Yeah, if you've got a big enough room.
Yeah, well, that's what my cleaning lady does, and that's what I always used to do, and I did it myself.
Right.
So this guy said, I'm just saying, sir, we'll have I said, are you the manager of this place? He said, why? I said, because I want to speak to the manager. He said, why? I said, because you've just insulted me, that's why.
Why did you say it so personally?
I took it immediately very
Why?
personally.
Why does it matter?
Because the guy was trying to make out that I lived in some sort of a pigsty
Well, so
back
what?
in England.
What difference does it make what
It
a guy
makes
in
a
a
huge
furniture
difference
shop
to me.
says to you?
It makes a huge
Why
difference
don't
to
you
me.
just say, well, thank you very much, I'm not going to buy a bed from you?
Oh, no. I wanted this guy put on the spot.
Why?
So I said, go and get me your manager, right?
Right.
He said, you want us to talk to what do you talk to my manager for? I said, because I'm not being insulted by you. He said, I didn't insult you. I said, I'm not having this conversation with you. So I went and found the manager myself, who was sitting in a little glass box, in the store somewhere, And I kicked his door
You
down.
see, you are so kind of vile when it comes to these things.
No.
Just seeking revenge
No.
and trying to punish people.
So I banged on the window of his little box until he opened the door,
Yeah.
and I said, excuse me, I've got a complaint. Oh, yes, sir, what's the problem, And I told him exactly. He said, and what is the issue? I said, the way your guy said it to me, right, was not informative. It was insulting. He was trying to make out that I come from a home in England where we don't clean under our beds, and we do clean under our beds, and I'm not being spoken to like that. Do you understand?
You must have thought you just escaped from the lunatic asylum.
No, I said, not only am I not buying my bed here, I said, but I'm part of a 60 or 70 strong British community of journalists who communicate with millions of people around the world, and none of us will be coming here to buy any furniture off you. I will be telling the world what sort of people you are who
And
work
did you
in this
write
shop.
a story about it?
I didn't in the
No, of
end,
course you
actually,
didn't.
because I
Nobody's
decided...
interested.
Well, no.
Because nobody cares.
But anyway, the guy said, I will discipline, the said employee.
Right.
Sir. And,
Well, I thought you said you got him fired.
I did get him fired, because I went back there about a week later to see what had happened,
Yeah.
and the guy wasn't there.
Perhaps he'd been relocated
Perhaps he'd been, relocated.
out of harm's way.
Yeah.
Or maybe he had a day off.
Sorry?
Maybe he had a day off.
Well, he wasn't there, believe me.
Maybe he stressed him out.
Maybe.
Well, maybe he saw you coming and just went in the back.
I don't know, but he wasn't there. Believe me.
I don't think you got him fired.
Yeah.
Woodenhead says this: they missed a goal because they were showing a replay, and Michael Owen called Fernandinho Fernando when he scored.
Yeah, but you see,
It's easy to confuse them too,
somebody's
isn't it?
made that mistake before, and last time somebody made that mistake,
What,
they
you
were-
mean wrong pronunciation or missed the goal?
No, confused Fernando with Fernandinho.
Yeah.
They were accused of racism.
Really?
Because apparently, and they look very similar physically, but somebody said, "Oh, racist that to get two men wrong." They were trying to say because they are two black men,
Brazilians,
and
aren't they?
That's right, yeah. And you confused one for the other, you're being racist.
No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Total bonkers. Sorry for the slight delay. Porky's just entered the studio wearing a pair of tin-foil trousers, the like of which I've never seen. You
I
look
told
like
you
some
about
kind
them
of
at the start of
aging.
the show.
Yeah, I know. You look like some kind of aging punk rocker.
No, this is the latest in fashion.
Well, is it not a bit hot?
No,
We just
no,
put-
they're
I mean-
great. They're great. It makes me feel liberated.
Really?
Yeah.
But they're very noisy though.
No.
On the radio.
Well,
I'm
they-
going to tweet out a picture of you.
Look,
They look horrendous.
no, I mean, you can hear a bit of rustling.
Well, surely they're going to heat. You're going to heat you to the point
Yeah,
of
yeah.
exhort some kind of danger.
Yeah,
aren't
this is just me moving around the studio.
they? No, okay. Well, can you stop now? Because it's too
Okay.
noisy.
There
No,
you
I'm
go.
going to tweet out this
Yeah.
picture of you wearing tin-foil trousers. Actually, it's not. To be honest, actually, they look better on you than the trousers you're currently wearing.
Yeah,
Are
well,
those
there you go.
purple trousers that you wear?
See?
Eh?
See, it's my new fashion sense.
Yeah,
see?
right.
See, everybody says, "Oh, you know, what did you find out in your journals
what's,
today?"
But what's supposed to be the actual point of this? Are you going to just sit down and talk to the microphone now?
Yeah, because I told you at the start of the show,
Right.
the latest fashion craze, right? And people who are, ahead of the game in fashion circles know that the latest craze is to wear trousers made of tin
but
foil, like
but
these.
what? Just because? I mean, they don't have any other benefits. In other words, then
Well, they look good.
they don't look that
You've
good.
just taken a picture of me. I think I look good,
Right.
right?
Okay.
You want to put the picture out?
I'm putting them out now.
Show our millions of listeners?
Yeah, I'm about to do that.
Excellent.
Your latest trendy tin-foil trousers.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
All right, I'm sure we'll get the verdict from everybody very, very shortly.
Yes,
How about
indeed.
this from Kristen in Swaddling
Yes.
Coat?
Yes.
Although he says he's currently in Stow-on-the-Wold.
Yeah.
He said, "Hi guys, there was a talk about the tolls on the Humber Bridge being 100% free by 2017.
Yeah.
But no concrete words from the people who matter. Did you
Yes.
know it's £15 for an HGV to cross? People live in Barton upon Humber and work in Hull. Cost them a fortune to get to work, even in miles, very close. But why don't all toll crossings become free? It would boost the economy."
Yeah, I totally agree. It's an absolute scandal the amount of tax we pay in this country. That's a tax.
Well, I was hoping I wouldn't get you on the tax
by the way,
front again.
By the way, do you know what they now call parking wardens?
What do they call them now?
Civil enforcement officers.
Really?
Civil enforcement
That is a bit
officers.
daft, isn't it?
So it's the word enforcement that gets me. Oh, I see. You're an enforcer now, are you?
Well, they are an
You know,
enforcer, kind of, aren't they?
It used to be a voluntary arrangement between motorists and local authorities and parking wardens who had a sense of humour and a bit of discretion, all that. Now these guys walk up and down streets in teams,
Yeah.
right? I've seen them in Surrey, two on one side of the road, one on the other, clocking every car, photographing it, taking pictures of it, asking people who are sitting in their cars what they're doing there. And they're called civil enforcement officers.
Uh-huh.
I mean, talk about, the nanny state.
difference
Not
does
the
it make-
nanny state.
what difference does it
Talk
make what you
about
call them?
the Big Brother state is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
But what difference does it make what you call them?
Because-
I mean, you know what they are. They're traffic wardens. I still call them that.
Yeah, and what do they call themselves civil enforcement officers then? Because they think they've got some superior role in
well,
life.
to be fair, it's not them calling themselves that. It's the ridiculous sort of.
Well, they wear a hat which says
I
civil
know,
enforcement
but they don't
officer.
go into the office and get the job and say, "Can you please call me a civil enforcement officer?" They get told this is what you're now called.
Yeah, but just the idea of having civil enforcers, I think, is outrageous. Utterly outrageous.
Now we've got this from who's it from? From Craig. He sent a
Yes.
picture of some bamboo socks.
Bamboo socks.
So men's new super soft bamboo socks, providing more comfort and durability during wear. Everyday
Really?
wear, office wear socks. Bamboo socks are naturally antibacterial, super soft and breathable.
Really?
I might see if I can
Let's have
find
a
some
look.
of these.
Let's have a look.
There they are there. Look. I don't know. I'm presuming you can buy them from any number of local.
Your picture's gone here. Look, what's
Well,
this?
you've obviously hit the screen. Yeah, give it back to me.
I didn't hit the screen.
You must have hit the screen. Yeah, look, you've switched it off by mistake. You've got hopeless, aren't you? Look there. Hold it by the outside.
Right,
Don't touch
right.
the screen.
I'm not touching the screen. Men's luxury bamboo socks.
I've just read that all out for you.
Men's super soft bamboo socks.
I've just read you that.
Bamboo socks are naturally antibacterial.
I've just read you that as well.
Added stretch, soft grip that fits the contours of your leg. Luxury socks at a fraction of the price.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I wonder why would they be a fraction
How much
of the
are
price?
they?
Well, it doesn't say. I can look that up if you wish.
Yeah, they
if
might
you'd
buy
like
some,
to,
actually. They might buy some.
Yeah, it might be
They
that
look
there's only
okay.
specialist
Look okay.
places. They look fine, yeah.
You look okay.
Well, when I finally get some more black socks, I may have to do that.
Okay.
So here's one from Steve. He says, Ray the bog cleaner, can you tell Porkmeister to remember the people on your way down?
What?
Remember the people on your way
Oh, I'm
down.
not against bog cleaners at all. You know, I think they're a very valuable part. No, really, they're a very valuable part of society. What would we do without them? I mean, it's absolutely true.
A couple of people have seen your tinfoil trousers. Tom says you look like an astronaut, stroke truck driver.
I think I look pretty good,
And then
actually.
he asked about the hole. He says, is that for emergencies only? I think that's just a trick of the light.
What was that?
Size,
What hole?
Well, I think it looks like a bit of a hole in part of the version of the trousers.
Oh, I see.
Harry's finally lost the plot. Get that man some help, says Si.
What do you mean? I thought it was pretty good.
Ian says, what a fine pair of trotters.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was very good. You know, I was quite pleased with that one.
And Glenn says, quick, get the oven on and put that turkey in it.
Put that turkey in it. I think they look great.
Actually, to be honest, they look better than the trousers you're wearing.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
They do.
No, they don't.
They do. It's definitely an improvement. Maybe you should get a tinfoil suit made.
Tinfoil
and
suit.
you could wear it on stage.
Yeah, maybe.
It reflects all the light.
Maybe, yeah. I think they look very good, actually. I mean, do you know, I'm seriously thinking now of going to find out where they manufacture these things and either modelling for
Well, I
them
think you'd
or,
have to get them. I think you'd have to get them made
or
like,
getting,
properly.
getting a pair.
We'd have to get them made properly.
Well, I have to admit to the audience, we'll tell them a secret here. We did make this up from a Baco foil roll of...
Well, you don't think they'd have worked that one out?
a Baco foil roll of, what do you call it? Not silver paper.
Tin foil.
Tin foil, that's right, yeah. Tin foil, yeah.
But, you know, what I'm saying is if somebody is
Yes.
genuine... I mean, somebody like Versace makes a pair of trousers like that, you'd probably pay 300 quid for them.
You probably would. So we've taught people how to make them themselves. Now, then, Abdul says it takes 6 months to get to Mars
Yeah.
and another 18 or 20 months for Mars to realign with Earth, I think he means.
Yeah.
He says with each
Yeah, for a return trip.
return trip.
Yeah. Yeah, and Deaglan says it is 6 months to get to Mars. The 4 years of the movie is to build the shuttle, plan the mission, etc.
Oh, I see.
So that would
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
explain it.
So 6 months then. That's a pretty long time,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Hey, by the way, did you see that cartoon that I posted over the weekend?
What was that?
Of one of my dad's, because people have been asking me.
Oh no,
have you ever-
that sounds fascinating. Now, your dad was an artist, wasn't he?
He was an artist, and,
Yeah.
and people have said to me in the past, "Have you ever got any pictures of his that you could actually tweet?" You know,
Yeah.
you've got a few. You bought a few of his paintings, didn't you?
I've got 2 of his paintings on the wall.
Yeah, but not in your house. Though.
Not in my house, no.
No, in some other house.
Some of
Because I was going to say, if you could, you could go and take pictures of those and post those as well.
Do you know what? I might do that.
Because this was something my sister found over the weekend.
Oh, yes.
She was clearing out an old drawer in the living room or something.
Right.
And she found this old birthday card that he'd given me when I was 25.
Yes.
And inside was this, because he used to always draw the birthday card himself. He never
Right.
bought them.
Right.
And he drew this painting, sort of cartoon of me.
Yes.
Bizarrely clutching, you'll like this, clutching 2 bottles of Dom Perignon.
Excellent.
And sort of
And how old were
rushing.
you in this time?
It was my 25th birthday.
25th,
Yeah.
right, okay. You're in
So-
America?
So I was in New York, yeah.
So he sent it to you?
No, I think he either sent it to me or maybe he probably came over and
Oh,
gave
I
it to
see.
me.
Yeah, okay.
Because
Yeah.
they used to come over for my birthday. and stuff
Right,
like
yeah,
that.
of course, yeah.
And a picture of a woman sort of chasing me, which is probably my ex-wife.
Yes.
Would be like her.
Yes.
And then a whole crowd of
Chasing
people
you for
sort of
money.
running towards... No, we hadn't got married by that stage.
Oh, you hadn't? No,
Running
right.
towards Costello's
Right.
to start drinking.
Okay, yeah,
Which is
good
probably
idea.
very much how I spent my 25th birthday anyway.
Indeed.
But it was great. A lot of people were very complimentary about it, I have to say.
Well, I have
Saying
to
that he was
say,
obviously a very talented man.
you showed it to me earlier, and I thought it was very good indeed.
Yeah.
So, did your father ever have any ambitions to become a cartoonist then? Because he was a politically aware man, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, not really. I mean, he dabbled a bit in cartooning.
Yeah,
when
cartoonery.
he first came down to London. I think he used to work for a couple of magazines. But it's quite it's quite a difficult job to be a cartoonist and support a family. Certainly in those days, I think it was. So when
Well,
he-
unless you're a top one.
yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is people come in and out. I mean, like people like for example, Brooke, the guy that's now in the Times.
Yes.
I mean, he used to work at the Daily Express.
Yes.
Years and years ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a pretty thankless task because I mean, I was what you would consider to be a bit of a philistine when it comes to cartoons.
Yeah.
He used to have to come to me, and I would approve them or not approve
Well,
them.
what norm-
and he would give me like 5 of them, and
Yeah.
I would just go, no, don't like that one, don't like that one, and I'd just chuck them away.
Yeah, the cartoonist normally would produce 4 or 5 cartoons a day by about sort of 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then go and see the editor.
Yeah.
But the problem is on a
But
movie.
the editor of the Express in those days used to tell him to come and see me.
What were you doing?
Well, I was the night editor.
Oh, night editor, right, OK. Now, on the problem was, if the story shifted seismically or if the news agenda had changed...
Yeah.
It takes like 2 hours to draw one cartoon.
Well, exactly.
And then you couldn't make it contemporary.
And also, my dad was never one for being told that somebody didn't like something. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly,
when
yeah.
he was on the evening news, he
Yeah.
was head of the art department. He used to
Yes.
go down the back bench with various graphics and things.
Yeah.
And sometimes he would get into rows because he
Yes.
was a bit of a mouthy guy.
Yeah,
you
he
know?
was, yeah.
And so whoever was the night editor would say something like, "Oh, yeah, I quite like this one."
Yes.
And he used to say things to him like, "Well, how would you know?"
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of attitude he had, you know. So
Yes.
I don't think cartooning and being at the behest of somebody else was really for him.
No, right. Yeah,
So-
no, I'm sure you're right.
But I
I'm
mean,
sure
he
you're
always, he always painted, and then when he retired, he just did, he drew, you know, and he painted for the rest of his life.
right. Craig, who sent us the bamboo socks
Yes.
piece, has sent us another one, a supplementary, saying, sorry, guys, I forgot to include the price.
Yeah.
The socks are between £3.99 and £11.99.
What, each?
No, a pair.
Well, obviously a pair.
Hang on.
Well, I only think you sell them separately.
Wait a minute, just listen, will you? No, you idiot. Right.
How much are those socks? $3.99 each.
No, it says...
Well, I've got 3 feet, so I better take 3.
It says pairs of men's luxury bamboo super soft fine antibacterial socks, sizes 6 to 11.
Yeah.
£3.99
Well, that wouldn't fit you then.
to
would it?
£11.99 with free postage. I
Well,
don't understand that. Why a discrepancy of £8?
Well, maybe it depends on whether they're pure.
£3.99 to £11.99.
Well, maybe it depends on whether they're pure bamboo or whether they're mixed.
I don't know. You can
maybe.
get anything but pure bamboo.
Well, you could get a cotton mix, can't you?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking? You're not listening.
Yeah,
to me,
I
are you?
am. I'm studying.
So, like,
what
if
else
you
we
buy,
know.
for example, if you buy cotton mix socks, which
Yes.
I don't, by the way,
Yes.
because I don't like polyester of any kind.
No, I don't either.
They're slightly cheaper than pure cotton, aren't they?
well, I
By
buy
the same token,
I buy pure wool socks.
do you?
Yeah, pure wool. Yeah.
Yeah, but pure wool socks also come in a variety of prices depending on what
Yeah,
kind
they
of wool.
do. They do. Yes.
Because if you buy like cheap wool socks, obviously
Yes.
they're more cheap than the expensive ones.
Somebody here is suggesting, why don't you put tin foil around your face, Porky? That would definitely help your looks.
Yeah,
That's
and one,
very nice,
one
isn't
here
it?
from Bill says tinfoil pants. Porky is open to lightning strikes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one
could
from
be.
Graham in Stockport. There was a cowboy who wore a pair of those
Mm.
tinfoil trousers. He got done for rustling.
Well done for Rustler. I like that, yeah. I
not
do
bad.
like a joke. Listen, are you terribly moved by a headline on the front of a newspaper which says, Cheryl, I quit X Factor?
No, not at all.
Cheryl has sensationally quit the
Couldn't
X
care
Factor,
less.
the weekend reveal. Pal said the
couldn't
singer
care less.
32
Why
wants to focus...
are you reading like a Dalek?
Wants to focus on her pop career.
Oh, great.
And
Actually, that does move me because the shock and horror of listening to any more music by her is
Exactly,
actually
yeah.
so embarrassingly awful.
Isn't
that
it?
I really can't
Yeah.
can't face it.
I hate to be terribly unkind, but isn't this a woman who, like, most of the time when she goes, live or something, is
Yeah.
actually miming and
But
all this kind of
it's-
stuff,
I mean,
isn't
the
it?
trouble with people like
Well,
Cheryl,
some of the time,
and I
anyway.
can't remember what
Yeah.
her name is now because she split up from that guy she was married to, the double barrel.
Well, she's now
Spanish
going
name.
out with somebody called Liam Payne,
Yeah.
who is a
Payne.
22-year-old member of One Direction.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And she's 32, so
Right.
he's a toy boy.
So, but he's probably better off than her, though, isn't he?
I always fancied being a toy boy.
Yeah, I know. I think you've missed your opportunity unless
Yeah,
you
I
fancy
think I
going
have,
out
yeah.
with some octogenarian.
Yeah, you what? That's a bit
You never
harsh.
know. There is a woman actually coming to Manchester with her 80-year-old, and I think it's Cardiff with her 80-year-old mother.
Is she? Yeah,
It
that's
could be
very
your
good.
last chance in life to be a toy boy.
Oh, don't even mention it.
I'll try not
One
to.
friend said it was a difficult decision for Cheryl. The X Factor changed her life.
Yeah.
Well, it's all going
But, I mean,
changed it the other way now.
The problem with people like Cheryl, if you
Yes.
don't mind me saying so, is that her
Yes.
entire life is governed by PR, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
it
everything
is,
that
yeah.
happens to her is all over
Yeah.
the papers, and there's a reason for that because she wants it out there.
Yes.
Because that's how she can manage to keep herself in the public eye.
No, it's absolutely
I've
true.
got nothing against the woman, but I have no interest really in what happens to her life, in what happens to her television career, or indeed listening to any more of her horrible music.
Yes,
Does that
absolutely.
sum it up all right for you?
Absolutely.
Now, a couple more tweets here.
Yeah.
Danny says this, worth a sleepy eyes on a school night. The abuse from Mike Parry on that soundbite was brilliant.
Yes.
And then he says Mike Graham has got good socks.
Yeah, good socks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recognise that piece of music?
No, I have to say I don't.
No?
No.
Stone Roses?
Stone Roses.
Yeah. You never heard of them, have you?
Yeah, of course I have. Yeah,
Have
I know their lead singer was Axl Rose. What are you laughing at?
Oh, dear. Do you know where they're from?
They're from Glasgow.
No. They're from Manchester.
Manchester, that's right, yeah. And who's their lead singer?
The Stone Roses.
Yeah,
Yeah. From
Leeds-
Manchester.
yeah.
Yeah.
Axl.
Not Axl Rose. No, he was in Guns N' Roses.
Oh, was he? Right, OK.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a different group, isn't it? Yeah. And they were from Glasgow, weren't they?
What?
Guns N' Roses?
No, they're from America.
Oh, America, OK, right. So,
Although I think I think Slash The guitarist
Yeah.
has got some kind of roots in somewhere like Coventry.
Has he?
Oh,
Yeah,
Birmingham,
okay.
somewhere like that.
All right, that's great. So, so that group we've just heard was the Stone
The
Roses.
Stone Roses singing about elephants.
Oh, singing about elephants.
Yeah.
Okay, what was it called then?
Elephant Stone.
Elephant Stone.
Name of the song,
I like
yeah.
that. That's great. Now, now you know why we're playing that?
No.
Because
I always like listening to the Stone Roses, though.
you do. What, a good group?
They are.
What do they
And
sound
they're sort of
like?
defunct. Well, they sound like what you just heard.
Yeah, but that's just a 30-second take out of one of their records. Are they
Well, we might
rockers?
play some. Well, yeah, I suppose you
say
would
they're
say that.
rockers?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, listen.
Massive following they had up in at the time when they were big.
In Manchester.
Well, all over really.
I'm delighted. That's
Yeah.
good. Now then, according to my historical journals, of
Yeah.
which I've had a new volume delivered just this week.
Really?
Yeah.
What, covering a particular period?
Well, actually, yes, covering the period up to 230 BC, right?
What did you have? Was that missing, that one?
No, it's just like extend my knowledge all the time by going further and further back in history.
Oh, right. So
I've-
what period does it cover then?
Well, it covers sort of AD to 230 BC.
Okay, what,
Yeah.
backwards?
Well, of course it's backwards, you would. BC means before Christ.
It does.
AD is like Anno Domini when Christ was born.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right. Now, it covers, amongst other things, the...
Last time Everton won anything.
I'll just ignore that
Sorry.
nonsense.
I couldn't help
It
that.
covers, apart from other things, the route that Hannibal took over the Alps.
Oh, yeah.
And there's much more new information in it. We actually found the route now that he took. Because for many, many centuries now, we thought that he went one particular route, a northern route, skirting the border of Switzerland. In fact, we've now decided...
Presumably the borders of those countries weren't really there then, were they?
Well,
I mean, it's all part of the Roman Empire, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, but you're talking now about the modern borders. So, but actually, he went right the way across the Pyrenees, all the way across France,
Yeah.
into Italy,
Uh-huh.
and came down the hill into Rome, and and he surprised
Right.
them. And that's,
So where did he cross the Alps then?
well, he crossed the Alps at a place called Traversette.
Uh-huh.
Traversette.
Is that not so much? Is that more French than Swiss? Then?
Oh, it's much more French than Swiss.
So you went further south than
He went
everyone
further
thinks.
south, absolutely.
Oh, I
yeah,
see.
yeah.
All right.
The improbable 1,000-mile march brought him very nearly to the gates of ancient Rome and ranks among the most outrageously bold manoeuvres in military history.
Uh-huh.
How did the Carthaginian general pull it all off? Did he haul his army over the Col de Clapier?
Yeah.
Or did he...
Col de Clapier.
Col de Clapier, yeah.
That sounds like something you get from one of those weekends away, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Or did he tramp over the pass at nearby Mont Cenis, Cenis, leaving his signature carved into the rock for Napoleon to find 2,000 years later?
Really?
Which is what happened. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
Now, do you know how we found all this out?
Yeah.
And this is a bit
I do.
distasteful, actually. What do you mean you do?
Well, Sandy told me about this one as well.
Oh, they found dung deposits all the way
Yeah.
on the route.
Which they can now examine.
Dung deposits
It's a
from-
scientific advancement.
From elephants. What
Yeah.
they couldn't work out is when they first got it, they thought, what is this doing here? And then
Yeah.
they realised that dung deposits were very similar to those of elephants in Africa, where it must have been Hannibal's elephants.
Yes, I know.
Isn't that amazing?
Extraordinary. You know, my daughter was away this weekend in Berlin.
Oh, yes.
And she found a restaurant, one of the oldest restaurants in Berlin.
Oh,
and
yes.
She was very excited to tell me that apparently Napoleon had dinner there.
Oh, right. Well, I've probably been there, to
Have
be
you?
honest, yeah.
Do you know
Spent
the
a lot
name
of
of it
time
is?
in Berlin.
I
eh?
can't remember what.
No,
I can't remember what she said.
no,
the
I
name
can't
of it was.
remember the name of it. No. But I went to a lot of historical restaurants in Berlin. Berlin's an amazing city.
Historical restaurants.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean historical restaurants?
Well, restaurants that were used by the Nazi high command and all that kind of stuff. You know what I
dear.
mean?
I don't fancy that.
Well, you know, it used to happen.
Rob says this: people who brag about giving money to charity are normally the ones who give zero.
Well, I don't brag about it. You asked me, and I just told you.
Well, you went on and on about it.
No, I didn't, no.
Peter says, Mike, Porky's only a friend if he can be a friend with benefits. Quid pro quo is how it works for the old Porkmeister.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Another one from Rob saying, "Why? What an idiot, Porky. Why do you think London's the only place you can buy vinyl? Porky the snob."
What do you mean?
Well, you said that you didn't think that there was any places selling vinyl albums outside of London.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. Well, where else are they sold?
Well, everywhere.
Well, I just said, didn't I? Can you get them in
You said,
Newry? Can
I
you get
said
them in
yes.
Durham?
I said probably yes.
Yeah, okay, well, you can. You know, I don't see them around, that's all.
Here's one from Doug in Droitwich.
Yeah.
Do either of you know what a group of cats is called? I must say I didn't know the answer to
A
this.
cattery, is it?
A clouder, apparently.
A what?
A clouder.
Clouder. I know Droitwich. I used to cover Droitwich Football Club.
Really?
Yes, along with Worcester, Bromsgrove, Sutton,
Yeah.
and Kidderminster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike at Esher says Slash comes from London but lived for many years in Stoke.
Is that
Not in capital letters Coventry. Well, I said I thought he was from somewhere around there,
Yeah,
and
well-
Stoke and Coventry are not a million miles away from each other.
Well, Coventry's in the West Midlands and Stoke's in Staffordshire.
yeah, I know, but they're not far away. are they?
Listen, just to conclude the Hannibal thing, right,
Yeah.
because you asked me all about it. It was, in fact, you see, in one of my journals, 2 papers published in the journal, Archaeometry.
Archaeometry?
Archaeometry.
What is that? That's an interesting word.
Yeah, that's right.
I've never heard that word.
Archaeometry is the study of this very thing, warfare and all this kind of
Oh, is
stuff,
it?
right? They argue that the find is an almost perfect fit for the Carthaginian army because the carbon dating of the elephant dung that they found is bang on. A dense mulch of organic matter. And they say it must only have come from there. Chris Allen, Queen's University Belfast microbiologist, who led the analysis, said they've even identified what they thought was the very elephant that Hannibal will have ridden himself. Isn't that amazing?
Well, I suppose it's amazing, but it's very
Yeah.
amazing for them. But I'm not sure it makes much difference to the large bulk of the populace. I don't think they really care.
No, but unless we understand the past, we cannot predict the future.
Well, we can't predict the future anyway.
Well, we
Doesn't
can.
matter whether you understand the past
Well,
or not.
we can get a feeling about the future if we understand the past.
Yeah,
You know,
all right.
I've always said that.
All right, well, how about this from Danny in
Yeah.
South Tottenham?
South
Very
Tottenham.
specifically. Porky, only unimaginative people think that words in music are a prerequisite. I
Yeah.
myself love words and poetry, but I'm also a real music fan.
Yes.
If the music is good enough, it won't need pretentious, half-baked paragraphs. That said, I do have the utmost respect for you.
Well, thank you very much.
Talk about a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, utmost respect for me, you mean?
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's what he says, even though he says you're wrong about the music. 'Cause, I mean, you think about classical music, it doesn't have
Yes.
lyrics, does it?
No, it doesn't have lyrics. No, you're absolutely right. Whenever I meet somebody who either writes music or words, I always ask them, you know, if they write in a partnership, you know, like Lennon McCartney or something
Right.
like that. I always ask, well, what happens first? Does the guy who writes the music then come to you and say, I've got this bit of music and I want some words for it? Or does the guy write the words and then go to his mate, who is the musician,
Well, it varies,
and
doesn't
say, I've never had a straight answer. I met Tim Rice, right, in the boardroom at a football club. I think it was Arsenal or somewhere like that. I'm not sure.
He's an Arsenal fan, isn't he?
I think he must be if he was in the boardroom there.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, and of course he's a cricket fanatic.
Yeah.
You know, he obviously likes football, but he's a cricket fanatic.
Yeah.
And I was having a chat, having a drink with him, just chatting. And I said, look, you know, can you answer me this question? And because he's one of the greatest living lyricists.
Right.
You know, he wrote Chess, which is the stage play.
Well, he used to be the partner of Andrew Lloyd Webber, didn't he?
Absolutely. For a lot of the early productions of Andrew Lloyd Webber, they were Andrew Lloyd Webber, Tim Rice, and he was the lyricist, wrote all the words. And I said, what happens? Do you, like, suddenly come up with, for want of a better word, a poem or a set of lyrics, and then you go to Andrew Lloyd Webber and you say, look, I've got these lyrics here, and why don't we wrap some music around them?
Yeah.
I said, or does Andrew Lloyd Webber come to you and say, look, I've got this wonderful tune in my head, and I need some words? He said, no. But he couldn't explain how it happened.
Right.
He said they sit down together in the same room and, you know...
But don't certain songwriters and lyricists work in different ways as well? I mean, I mean, obviously Tim Rice and
Yeah.
Andrew Lloyd Webber don't work together anymore anyway. But,
No.
I mean, presumably, in some cases the music comes first, in others it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he said. And,
Yeah.
and he said, to be honest, I haven't got a poem in my head and Andrew hasn't got a tune in his head.
Yeah.
We sit there and play around because usually a lyricist can actually... you know, play the basics of a piano or something like that. And
Yeah.
he said, and you just play around until it comes out.
Right.
And I suppose Lennon McCartney must have used to do that. I saw a thing the other day, by the way, this is quite interesting.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's talking about, you know, the greatest albums of all time and all that. And the last track on Sgt. Pepper's is A Day in the Life, right?
Yeah.
And I read a letter in the Times or something like that, which said, if only Paul McCartney hadn't stuck that infantile children's message into the middle of A Day in the Life, it would have been one of the greatest records of all time.
Why?
Well, the middle bit in the bit is about woke up, got out of bed.
Oh, I think that's great.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
Well, who said it was childlike?
I don't know, this person...
Some complete Philistine.
yeah, this person
The
just...
sort of person that would claim that Laurence Olivier is not much of an actor.
Well, you know, there are people like that around.
There
aren't
are.
there? But no, I mean, the answer is, what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, the lyrics or the music?
What is the answer to that one, the chicken and the egg one?
Well, I don't know. I'm not going into that. But there's no answer to what came first, the words or the music.
Oh, no, because it's a variable.
Of course it's a variable.
Tim Rice is a Sunderland fan, says Brooksy in Washington.
Is that right? Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Very interesting.
We shall see.
Yeah, good to know.
And someone else is saying that they said in the news recently that bigger branches of Sainsbury's are going to start selling vinyl again.
Oh, are they? Ah, that's very interesting.
There you go. So you'll have to
Very
change your allegiance
interesting.
from Morrison's, won't you?
And put
another one from the golden era of Mike Parry's songbook, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Was this 1971 or something?
well,
The year was supposed to be, what was that, the best year for music, when you were saying earlier in the week?
no, somebody else said that, and one of the newspapers did a big feature on it today and asked
Yeah.
all their writers, what was your best year? Very few of them said 71.
Really?
A lot of them said, 67, The Summer of Love and all that. A lot
Did any of them
said,
say they didn't like Eric Clapton?
no, I don't think they did, no. But that song, actually, that does have resonance. You know why?
Why?
The first time I went on holiday on my own, so to speak, without the family,
Right.
was I think I was 17,
As
right?
a teenager? What, with a bunch of your mates, you mean?
Bunch
Not
of
on your
mates
own, yeah.
from the King's School Chester.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And about half an hour after I landed, I got smashed in the face by a bloke in a bar who
Was this in
stuck me.
Benidorm or somewhere?
No, this was in Mallorca.
Oh, right, okay.
It could have been Benidorm. I'm not sure. Benidorm, Mallorca, anyway. And I got smashed in the face
Hmm.
by a bloke in a bar who thought I was sleeping with his girlfriend because his girlfriend was sleeping in an Englishman with ginger hair.
But you only just got there.
I only just got
I
there.
see. So it was a case of mistaken identity.
Mistaken identity. And what he did was, as we walked into this bar, and we were full of Bonhomie,
Yeah.
we weren't big drinkers in those days. I probably had 2 miniatures on the package holiday
Yes.
flight on Britannia Airways on
Right.
the way over, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So full of Bonhomie and thinking, let's get stuck in.
Right.
And this guy came towards me, and he'd taken his belt off.
And was he a local, this character?
He was a local Spanish guy, and he was a waiter, in the bar. And he took his... they had waiters in those days, believe it or not.
Well,
And-
they still have waiters now. The waiters haven't disappeared.
Yeah. So he took his belt off, wrapped it round his fist so that the buckle was on the top, like a knuckle duster,
Right.
and smashed me in the face.
Dear me.
Yeah, it was quite a shock, actually. Anyway, I got a terrible wound and had to have 16 stitches in my right eye. Can you see?
Have you still got the scar?
I'll show you, I'll
I
show
don't
you.
think I could actually see the scar. No. Not really. No, I didn't need to. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah. No, I've never noticed that before. Yeah. Why are you staying so far away from the microphone?
Well, because I want you to see
okay.
it.
I'll take a picture of it and put it out.
Yeah. So there is the scar is still there.
Yeah.
And hang on, wait a minute.
What are you doing now?
I messed up my
Well, I'll
lead.
tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to James, because James is going to explain how the walking on water trip
Excellent,
works.
that's brilliant.
And he's in Manchester as well. James, good morning.
Hiya, Mike. You all right?
Yeah, very good indeed, James.
How
yeah.
can you explain this to us then?
Basically, if you want to look it up, he actually had to apply for planning permission to put a underwater structure.
I see.
So it's exactly what you said. What happened was when the Thames was on low tide, they pulled up a boat. The divers went down. They put a collapsible underwater structure in.
Right.
When you say underwater structure, it wasn't stilts, surely?
It was stilts.
Stilts?
And it was a see-through top.
Oh, I see.
And he just basically plotted out where he was going to stand, which route he was going to take, and the sort of persuaders in the trick is there's two canoes that go over to the left,
Yeah.
so people sort of go, there's nothing under there, but the way they explained it was just sitting maybe 2-3 inches under the water, and the canoe could actually get over the top.
But
see.
it's a pretty big swell in the Thames, because it comes up, and the depending on what time of day it is, it can rise and fall by about 5 or 6 feet.
Yeah, but once it's at high tide, there is not a swell unless a boat goes past, really, is there?
Yeah, well then that's another
But
reason
also-
you'd have to be careful.
But also, you can see sort of tidal measures the day before. And I think they plotted it out and they applied for it on that day.
Yes.
But that's not magic at all, then, is it?
Well, it's an illusion, isn't it?
It's an illusion, yeah, but it's not magic.
Well, all magic is illusionary.
I suppose so.
Yeah. Well, that's James. Thank you very much indeed for explaining that.
So
And,
bizarrely, your idea of a sort of platform and stilts was actually correct.
Yes. So, are you going to acknowledge that now?
Well, no, because I don't think that it's magic. Basically, I mean,
No,
that may
excuse
be
me.
the
Are
way.
you going to acknowledge
that
I got it completely
well,
right?
That may be the way that he did it, but I mean, he didn't
Yeah.
have actual stilts that he was walking on, which is what you were suggesting.
Well, I'm
he
sorry,
had these
but-
things that were put into the bed of the river.
Well, I got
which
it
was
more right than you did.
Well, no, you did, but I'm just
Yeah.
disappointed because I was
No,
hoping
you're
that there was more
disappointed
to
because
it.
you couldn't figure it out because
No, I
you're a
was just-
juice head.
No, I was just hoping there was more to it.
There's not more to it, mate. I'm telling you. What did you think he had? Buoyant shoes then?
Well, I don't know.
Inflatable shoes.
But I wished it was something slightly more
Well,
kind
it
of
wasn't.
elaborate.
It wasn't. Now
Than
get-
putting something underneath to walk on.
Now, I'm still talking magic, right?
Yeah.
So I get smashed in the face in this bar in Benidorm or Mallorca. I can't remember where it was.
Right.
And I get taken off to a hospital, get my head sewed up and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And do you know what the effect of that was?
What was the effect of it?
Well, that was on day one. We were there for 14 days.
Right.
Over the next 13 days, I had women falling over themselves to nurse
What,
me.
because you had a big scar?
Oh, I had a big scar in my head. I
And
was
you
a
probably
hero.
milked it, of course.
I did. I kept saying I felt, I had concussion and
Yeah.
I needed help to
Right.
stand up and needed help to lie down and all
Absolutely
that kind of stuff.
shocking.
And all these, all
You'll
these.
stop at nothing, will
Oh
you,
no!
to
All
just
these
kind of get
beautiful women
sympathy?
were all mothering me and all that,
Yeah.
and in the end, a lady called Susan
Susan?
from Longbridge in Birmingham.
Uh-huh. Where there used to be a big car factory.
Yeah, that's right. Well, her father worked in the car factory, and she caught my affections. And upon my return, after sampling, the delights of the company of quite a lot of the ladies who wanted to nurse me,
Right.
Yeah. I went off to see her a few times when I got back.
So
One of
you
those-
actually had a girlfriend in Birmingham when you were 17. How did you manage that then?
No, what happened was when I got back, I went off to the University of the Trent.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And so I used to travel from Nottingham,
That's not so far then.
exactly, over to Birmingham and see her at weekends.
And how did that all end then?
Oh, badly.
How?
Well, I just stopped going to see her because I found some girls in Nottingham who.
Did you tell her, or did you just not turn up one day?
Well, in those days, you see, you just stopped writing, and that was it.
Yeah.
Because
Did you have a phone number?
well, we had a phone in the block that we lived in, but
Right.
not actually in
Yeah,
our
but she
in
must
our
have
flat.
had a phone number. You could have phoned her, couldn't you?
Oh no, I didn't bother.
No.
no.
Shocking.
That's so you just give it up like that, don't you? In those days, and it just sort of dwindles out. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what you say, but I think you just treat people abominably.
No, I don't. No, you've treated people much worse than me.
I don't think that's true.
I think you
I
have.
don't think that's true at
Oh,
all.
really? Oh,
We've
I
got
could
lots,
bring
lots,
some examples if you like.
Here's one
Yeah.
from Steve. He says, maybe the X that you're getting is short for plank. Same meaning, just slightly shorter.
What do you mean?
Rather than, well, instead of putting in one word, you can use sometimes one letter instead of the word. Sometimes people do that. It's called kind of, text speak.
Text speak, yes.
Other people are suggesting it might be an expletive that they're putting down, but they don't actually want to spell it out.
Well, that's very nice, isn't it? Thank you very much indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that either.
Or maybe it's something to do with the size of your shirt.
Size of my shirt?
Yeah, X.
Hey, listen, talking about magic and all that, right?
Yeah.
I've got another angle on this.
Have you?
You know that we have discussed in the past the idea of taking out a pigeon's brain out of a pigeon and putting it into a soldier.
Taking
So-
a pigeon's brain out of a pigeon?
Yes.
Where else would you take it from?
Well, you know what I mean. I'm putting it into a soldier's head
Yes.
so that he doesn't lose direction
We
on the
have discussed
battlefield
that
and
in
all
the
that.
past, yeah.
Guess what? Guess what? The scientists have found that the distance between Alaska and New Zealand is 7,000 miles, right?
Right.
It's all over the Pacific Ocean, but a bird called the bar-tailed godwit...
Godwit?
flies it non-stop and never misses landing in the right place in both directions.
What?
How do they do that?
What? How do they do what?
Well, how do they do that? They're flying over water.
Yeah.
There are no landmarks for them
Right.
to go by, the birds.
Yeah.
And yet they take off from one field in Alaska and land in another field in New Zealand.
Right.
And then make the reverse journey when the migration goes into reverse.
Yeah.
And they never, ever miss their landing spot.
Well, because that's what they do, isn't it? That's what they're there for.
Yeah, but what they've said is it
They
could
fly
be...
south and then they fly north.
Yes, but what I'm saying is most birds fly over land. You see what I mean? And
No, they don't.
Birds can spot
How do you
landmarks.
think birds get here where it's an island?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but
So they don't just fly over land, do they?
They do
fly
if they
over the sea.
Yes, but if they're coming from sub-Saharan Africa, they've got to fly over a lot of Africa before they fly over sea, the Mediterranean.
Yeah,
you
but
see what
they
I
still
mean?
fly over the sea, though.
Yes, I know, but what I'm saying is I wish you'd listen.
I am listening.
These birds fly over nothing but water. They don't fly over land.
Right.
They fly from the...
So what you're saying, they've got some kind of navigational speciality, is that what you're
I
saying?
found out what it is. They
Oh, what
fly
is it?
from the Alaskan coast to the New Zealand coast, all over water,
Yeah.
and scientists have now found out what they've got is they've got a quantum mechanical compass in their head.
Quantum mechanical compass?
Yeah, definitely.
What is that?
The quantum compass can produce the sort of accuracy that would enable voyages of the sort undertaken by the bar-tailed godwit to be possible.
What does it look like, this bird? The bar-tailed godwit?
It looks like any other bird, really, but it's
What,
just
is it a big bird? It must be quite big if it flies 7,000 miles without stopping.
It's like the size of an albatross.
Well, that's huge. That's a massive
Yeah,
bird.
all right. Well, it's a big bird then, okay?
It can fly 7,000 miles without stopping. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
That's extraordinary.
it is extraordinary.
Well, what does it eat, then?
I don't know.
And how long does it take to fly 7,000 miles?
Well, it says that the bird navigation, their navigation properties, is helped by a specific chemical reaction that goes on inside their eyes. This produces pairs of molecules, each of which has an electron entangled with the other behind their eyes.
Really?
And that's what guides them 7,000 miles to the same field they left from.
But how long does it take? That's what I want to know.
Well, I'll tell you here, I've got this.
Go on, how fast does it fly?
The Earth's magnetic field is able to interact with the entangled electrons behind the bird's eyes.
Never mind that. How long does it take?
Hang on. I'm getting to that. Changing the progress of the chemical reaction depending on orientation, but not misorientation.
Isn't it just instinct? Isn't it just what they do every single year? They fly south and
Well,
then
that
they fly
is some
north.
instinct. That is some instinct.
Yeah, but that's all they do. It's all about kind of survival, isn't it?
No,
If
no,
they didn't
no,
do
no.
that and go there to breed and mate, presumably, then they wouldn't survive.
If birds are coming from sub-Saharan Africa
Yeah.
and they're flying north,
Yeah.
they know exactly when they're flying over Barcelona Cathedral.
What, so they
As
see
hit-
Barcelona Cathedral and go, we're hanging a left here?
Absolutely right. I know
sure?
that sounds ridiculous, but it's exactly what they do.
Uh-huh.
They know when they fly over the Eiffel Tower, next stop,
Yeah.
Scotland, you know
Right.
what I mean? And all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
But these birds fly over nothing but water.
So you still haven't told me how long it takes.
Right, well, hang on. What they say is the bird's eyes become a visual compass. It's possible the birds quite literally see an impression of the Earth's magnetic field and they follow that.
Possible.
And that is information coming from Professor Peter Hoare of Oxford University.
Excellent.
And I found this
I'm so happy you've told me.
I found this in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences Journal.
Really?
How about that?
Well, it said probably at the end, so in the end, actually, they don't know what they're talking about.
As your TV reviewer, I can reveal there are no plans for a new series.
Yeah, no, but wasn't there a previous series?
Oh, hang on, wait a minute. It says here there might be a new series. What's the problem?
It is that time of the week, of course, when Mr. Parry has a look at all of the television programmes
Yes.
that are available on various platforms, whether they be perhaps on internet TVs,
Yes,
whether
yes,
they be
yes.
on regular channels,
Yes.
unknown channels, historic channels.
Yes.
And he's about to give you his Porky Vision of the week.
Yes.
Take it away, Mr. Parry.
Yes, that's right. Indeed, I am. Now, listen, it must be very, very hard to find a programme to replace The Night Manager at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night. Do you agree?
Well, in fact, I had that very conversation this weekend.
Oh, really? Who is?
Because with the mother of my children.
Oh, okay,
Because
there
we
you go.
both said, well, what are we going to watch now? Because the
Okay.
Night Manager's finished.
Anyway, so they put this programme on called... hang on, what's it called? Oh, it's called Undercover.
Oh, yeah.
And it stars a very exceptional actress called Sophie Okonedo.
Okay.
Right?
I don't think
been...
I'm familiar with her.
Yeah, she's been in a lot of dramas. She plays kind of sinister roles sometimes. She played a role in a one I saw once, and it was called The May Queen. It was about a little 15-year-old girl who was the beauty queen in the local pageant on May Day. You know
Just
what I
a
mean?
spring clean for the May Queen.
Hey?
Just a spring clean for the May Queen.
Don't know what that means.
It's a line from a Led Zeppelin song.
Oh, is it? Right, okay. But who got abducted and murdered by a bloke who turned out to be her husband, but she kept it quiet because she didn't want him to go to jail.
Oh, right.
You see what I mean?
So was this a true story then?
Oh, no, that's not the programme I'm reviewing.
Oh.
That was just to tell you who's...
But was it a true story?
No, it wasn't. No,
No.
but that's to tell you who Sophie Okonedo is.
Okay.
Now in this one, this is an utterly rubbish programme. Undercover starts with this.
I thought you said you weren't reviewing it.
I'm not reviewing The May Queen.
Oh.
That was to tell you.
Oh, I see, okay.
Where I last saw Sophie Okonedo
Oh, I see,
and the
right.
sort of
Oh,
character
I'm
she
with you.
plays.
Right.
The programme we're reviewing is called Undercover.
Right.
And it opens, for some bizarre reason, with her car parked across a freeway in America as a huge, 60-ton American rig lorry is bearing down on her,
Yeah.
with the horns going, brr, brr, get out the way and all that,
Yeah, yeah.
And she gets out of the way at the last minute. She is a lawyer. She's on her way to a jail where a bloke she's been representing for 20 years has lost his final appeal and is about to go into the, the room where they give you the lethal injection.
Oh, right.
Death cell.
The death chamber.
The death chamber, that's right,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's lots
So
of...
it's an American show.
No, this is the confusion
Right.
about the whole thing.
Ah.
She's an English barrister lawyer,
Okay.
but she's been representing this guy for 20 years.
Right.
Right? And you think...
So he's in America.
He's in America.
Right.
He's in a jail in Louisiana. 'Cause you see her-
Louisiana?
yeah. You see her,
Blimey.
you see her turn up at the state pen in Louisiana,
How about Louisiana?
Yeah, Louisiana as well. So anyway, she gets in there and there's lots of tears because he's lost the last appeal and
Right.
all that.
Yeah.
And then it's just completely bizarre. She is then told she can go into the room next door and watch it through the window, which is because you have to have witnesses to these things.
Yes.
You'd have thought that would be the very last thing she did, because it all turns out to be a civil rights issue,
Oh, okay.
as a lot of these things are.
Oh,
in the
because they've
South.
got the death penalty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Right.
So she says, no, I don't want to. So then she leaves, but we still don't understand why this British lawyer, and by the way, she looks about 25,
Yeah.
this girl, right?
Right.
But
Well, this is one of the problems with a lot of television shows, isn't it?
she gets home to London, just to jump in a bit, and she's got a family of a husband and 3 grown-up children,
Yeah.
which make her at least sort of 40 or 45, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
So it's all completely out of sync. Anyway, she leaves the jail, in a fit of pique, saying, we've lost the appeal and all that. And she then gets in a car and she drives back to wherever she's going in Louisiana to get a plane home to London.
Yeah.
And the most bizarre plot, she stops on a deserted road in Louisiana,
Right.
gets out, walks across the field, and then decides to have an epileptic fit, literally.
Well, presumably doesn't know that she's going to have one.
Well, I think it's self-induced
Yeah.
because she's lost her case and her client's
Ah,
been...
okay. So the stress has brought it on, maybe.
Yeah, so she leaps to the floor, a bit like Louis van Gaal
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
When he tried to demonstrate.
Yeah.
He fell to the ground.
Yeah.
You.
Oh, nobody really knows why he did that, really, did they?
No, and when what did he say? I'm telling you play a dive.
Yes.
Don't go down.
And then he fell backwards.
Well, she does a Louis van Gaal flip
Right.
onto this cornfield.
Okay.
That's just been. It's not. There's no
Ploughed.
corn in it. Yeah, that's right. Just
Yeah.
been ploughed,
Harvested.
And I'm not joking. She's scrabbling around like you sometimes see a dog scratching its back in dirt and all
yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Well, my dog did that twice at the weekend.
Right. Well, it's like that. Anyway, while she's doing that,
How unnerving.
it's completely bizarre. While she's doing that, this guy who's a prison officer in the state pen
Yeah.
comes roaring up in a massive car and
Yeah.
says, "Hey, come back, come back!" Now,
So he knows exactly where she is.
this is what I'm saying. This
Yeah.
is so ridiculous. You know as well as I do that actually guards who work in the state penitentiary in Louisiana are
No.
not usually that sympathetic
No.
to civil rights campaigners
Not generally, no.
who stand outside the jail.
Well, they've usually got those big demonstrations outside going, fry them,
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
they?
yeah, exactly,
Where the
yeah.
locals are all out in force, say, let's kill them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the old Pitchfork Brigade.
So anyway, as you quite rightly say, how did this cop, this prison officer know where she was?
Yeah.
Why did he jump in a car? Why did he chase her?
Yeah.
And she says, "What's going on?" He says, "It's all gone wrong. It's all gone wrong. He's still alive." What?
So, well, they've tried to kill him and it didn't work.
It didn't work. So she then leaves her car, abandons it. Both
Right.
the doors are open, by the way.
Okay.
She says, "Oh, I'll come back with you."
All right.
So this is a hire car. It
Right.
must be because she's in
Presumably,
America.
yeah.
So she decided, I don't give a monkeys about the hire car.
Sounds very confusing.
Oh, it's ridiculous. So she gets back in with the prison ward. They go back.
Mm.
She's then looking through the door, and her guy is in a terrible state.
Yeah.
She then rings up some
And
senator.
does it tell you which method they've used? Is it like lethal
An injection,
No, it
lethal
is, okay,
injection.
right.
She then rings up some senator
Right.
who is at a cocktail party with a dicky bow tie on and all that, and he's saying, "Well, if we can get hold of a judge, because then they can postpone like the execution
Yeah,
now
right.
instead of
Because
keep
they've
trying
tried
to kill
once
him
and failed, yeah.
yeah, and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
So then her battery runs out on her mobile phone. So yeah. So we have no idea, whether it's commuted or whatever.
right.
Next thing, we see her back in London.
Right.
But
Is this a one-off or is it a series then?
It's a series. It's,
Oh,
I
well,
think
so
it's
you have to
6
find
parts.
out next week then.
I think it's 6 parts. Anyway, she comes back to London.
What's the name of it?
What's it called? It's called Undercover.
Undercover.
So she comes back to London, right? And you'd have thought on this incredible mission, and by the way, she's been on TV all around the world while
Yeah.
she's come out the jail
Ah,
to try
okay.
and save this guy. It's
Yeah.
become a core celebra
Right.
around the world, you know?
Amnesty International
Yeah.
scenario.
She turns up in Primrose Hill in a black taxi,
Right.
hauling her bags out of a taxi. So
Right.
like her husband hasn't even bothered to come to the airport to meet her, neither is anybody in...
Well, maybe she came back unexpectedly.
Well, she thinks she'd have rung ahead and said,
You'd
by the
have
way,
thought
can you help
so.
me with my bags?
Well,
I'll
no,
meet
phone
you at the
battery was
airport.
dead, wasn't it?
Phone battery was dead, but she could have
It's
charged
starting to
that.
make more sense now.
Yeah. Anyway, she gets into the house,
Yeah.
and as I say, all her grown-up kids are there, and her husband's there.
The kids are grown up.
Kids are grown
I
up.
thought she was like 25.
She looks 25,
Ah, okay.
but so anyway, her husband, and there's another half hour of this programme to go, and
Right.
you never quite find out what her husband does. No, I'm seriously, but she walks in, bizarrely,
Right.
her husband is wearing a wetsuit, right?
Right.
Standing in the garden while one of his kids is spraying him with a hose pipe. I mean,
Why?
I've no idea.
But the kids are grown up, you say?
Yeah, I've no idea.
Right.
No idea. Anyway,
How bizarre.
so she says, "Oh, it was very upsetting."
Well, there's a
and all
funny
this kind of
folk in
stuff.
Primrose Hill, is all I can say.
Well,
I
do
used
you
to
know
live there.
there's a Lido up there, right?
Oh, there's one in Camden. Well, it's Gospel Oak, actually.
Whatever. It's
Parliament Hill Fields.
Parliament Hill. It's a
Yeah,
huge Lido.
that's right, yeah.
Because the next
Round the
thing,
back of Alistair
next
Campbell's
thing,
house.
we see the husband swimming in the Lido. That's all he seems to do.
All right.
Swim.
Well, maybe he's training to be a diver or something.
No, it's all bizarre. Anyway, so then somebody says to her, "Oh, are you going to take the job?"
Hmm.
And she said, "Well, I'm thinking about it. You know,
Well, it's a different job.
no, you know what the job is?
No.
Director of Public Prosecutions.
Oh, really?
In this country,
Right, okay.
because she turns out to be like an ace lawyer, barrister, or something like that.
Right.
And it just gets more and more bizarre.
Very strange.
Then her husband's father is in hospital with critical illness.
Yeah.
He's going every day to see him. Then the hospital ring and say, "You better come. It's your father."
Yeah.
And he
we
says,
haven't been able to kill him.
No, you better come. It's your father. He says, "I can't. Why? My wife's just rung me, wants me to go and take her home from work. She's feeling a bit tired."
All right.
When they get home from work, instead of him then saying, "Right, I'm now going to see my father," she says,
He gets the wetsuit on again.
yeah, worse. She says, "I tell you what, let's go on holiday to Cornwall." So
Okay.
they all get in the car and drive off to Cornwall. And when they get to Cornwall, he gets a call saying, "Your father's dead." So trying to work out why he didn't bother going and seeing his old fella and decided to push off to Cornwall with his wetsuit and a surfboard
maybe
to do a
that-
bit of surfing.
Well, that's obviously why I had the wetsuit on. I'm sorry, it's not supposed to be a comedy, I presume.
it's
Well, anyway,
not.
there was a fascinating review of, what was it called, this show?
Undercover.
Undercover. So same time next Sunday night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll look forward to another.
Oh,
It's a Porky Vision.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
The best of the two mics.
On Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Couple more tweets to read out to you. Lord Rallo says, best Porky Vision in ages. This undercover show sounds like a top-notch comedy. Rob says, on the other hand, once again, Porky Vision is wrong. Porky's missing key moments and making up scenes.
No, I'm not.
Doesn't
no, I'm
sound
not.
like
no,
it to
I'm
me.
sorry.
Do you refute that?
I refute that absolutely. I didn't make anything up. Why would I make things up for?
Well, why would you?
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think so.
You didn't
Now-
have to make things up to it was such a confusing and bizarre programme, you'd have to make anything up at all.
Yeah, right. Jason says this, and I'm not quite sure if I'm going to get this right. He's driving from Hua Hin to Bangkok, and that's Huahin. That is in Thailand. Hua Hin?
Yeah, I
Would that be
suppose so, yeah.
He said I had to pull over in tears.
Yeah.
That review was radio gold.
Yeah, well-
Hashtag Porky Legend.
Sorry, we are a serious broadcasters here. All I was doing was relating what was going on in the programme, okay?
Right.
Yeah.
And Paul says, reviewing these programmes after a Sunday 12-hour shift in Weatherspoons, lapsing in and out of consciousness.
Yeah.
That's a bit harsh.
Who is? He is, or
No,
we
I
are?
think you're saying you are.
Oh, me? No,
Yeah.
no, I'm not. Don't worry. Everything's okay there.
And then
Yeah.
here's this from, just to top off the various musical references from
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Rosemary was originally sung by Nelson Eddy
Nelson
in the
Eddy.
1935 film with the same name. Surely
yeah.
Porky remembers it.
Well, I don't remember it. Obviously, I remember
Do
1935.
you remember the film, Rosemary?
Well, do you know what? I think I remember my dad singing it and telling me where it came from. I think I do remember that. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, see, that's
I
not
could
at
say that,
all familiar to me.
yeah. Yeah, okay.
Now, you got a busy day ahead of you?
Busy day.
Have you?
Making the final preparations for two things.
Yeah.
Firstly, my new campaign of bladderation in moderation.
Yes, indeed. I'm looking forward to that, yeah.
I'll be perfecting.
I'm not necessarily joining you in that, by the way.
No, well, I wouldn't expect you to because you do have the life of you live the life of an alley cat, the morals of an alley cat,
Louche,
right?
I think is the word you're looking
Secondly, of course, I'll be perfecting the beer diet for the weekend in Manchester.
Yeah.
They're making the final preparations to go up to Manchester.
Is it Boddingtons you'll be drinking up there? Bodies.
I might do. I might just have a bottle of the old Becks or something like that. And then there are things to do next week, which we'll tell the audience about tomorrow.
Yes, yeah, there's constantly announcements being made. If you want to find out
Yes.
what's going on with our tour or what's going on with DVDs, downloads,
Yeah.
all of that stuff, go to the2mics.co.uk.
I think what we should do in Port Talbot is start
Port
producing,
Talbot?
specialist steel. Not just
Yeah.
ordinary steel, you know,
No.
that build buildings, but specialist,
What sort of steel?
refined specialist sort of steel, which builds special sort of things.
Like what?
Well, like
Special what?
you know, you need special steel for certain
Well, like what?
stress steel
You
for
mean extra strengthened steel?
extra strengthened steel and all that kind of stuff. Because they
Well, I think there is an issue about the type of steel that they make.
no, the only steel the Chinese make is like, you know, you'd run-of-the-mill steel, which builds
Run-of-the-mill.
buildings and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we could produce steel that builds like ships, hulls, and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the Chinese build that as well.
Yeah, I think they do, actually. But we'll find some specialist way. Now, the reason we just played Bye Bye American Pie,
Yeah,
Don
why did we
McLean,
play that?
because I have been sent a book. It's called Never a Dull Moment. Rock's golden year was 1971.
Yeah.
Right? That's the greatest year for rock music ever. I mean, you know, I don't know how they came to that conclusion, but it says that it
Well,
was...
presumably they'll explain it if you actually bother to read
Well,
the
I've
thing.
read the book,
Well,
right?
what's the reasoning then?
Well, I'm going to give you some. It was the start of Glastonbury, right? Which
Yeah.
has since become a legend, okay?
Yes, okay.
And during that year, the following albums were released. Hunky Dory and Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie.
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones' Sticky Fingers.
Yeah.
Marvin Gaye, What's Going On,
Yeah.
which included I Heard It on the Grapevine.
Yeah.
Carole King released Tapestry,
Yeah, that's a good
an
album.
album which resonates so vibrantly that 45 years later, her performing it in London this summer is a major event. Did you know that?
Well, the Carole King show.
She's going to perform the whole of Tapestry
Yes, I know.
from
Well,
start to finish.
Well, because at the moment there's a play called
Yes.
Tapestry, right?
Oh, is
Carole
there?
King's Tapestry, which is not starring her,
Right.
But it's a play all about the making of the album,
Is it?
and all about also her collaborations with different people,
Right.
and how she wrote loads and loads of songs for other people as well.
She did.
Yeah.
Name one.
I can't off the top of my head.
Bayer Sager.
Carol Bayer Sager.
Carol Bayer Sager.
Yeah.
She wrote a song for somebody.
She wrote a couple of songs for a lot of people.
Did she? Yeah.
But she also performed herself. But
Oh,
no,
okay.
Carole King was part of that like hit factory
Right.
that came out of New York, I think it was.
Okay. Anyway, other groups who reached their peak in 71 were The Who,
Yeah.
Cat Stevens,
Yeah.
who's now known as Yusuf Islam.
He is.
Well, that's his name, actually.
Well, I wouldn't put him in the same bracket as the Rolling Stones and the Who, though, would you?
No, I think he only ever made one good record, and that was called Lady Darbanville.
Really?
Yeah. My Lady
You're not going to sing all
Darbanville.
night, I get, are you?
Dun, 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 dun.
What about Morning Is Broken? Didn't you like
Why
that?
do you lie so still?
What about Morning Is
Dun, dun.
Broken?
No, I liked Matthew and Son a bit, you know.
Matthew and Son.
Yeah, Matthew and Son.
Yeah, don't keep singing.
Yeah.
People will
Anyway,
be complaining.
Right, so the people who reached their zenith, The Who, Cat Stevens,
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder, George Harrison after the Beatles broke up,
Uh-huh.
because, of course, that was the year of...
My Sweet Lord.
My Sweet Lord and All Things Must Pass and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
That was a triple album, by the way.
I know it was.
Yeah, I had it. My mum bought it me for Christmas in a
Did she?
box set.
Have you still
yeah.
got it?
It cost £5.
Wow.
No, I haven't. Yes, I have still got it, actually.
Still got the vinyl.
No, I gave all my vinyl away in the 90s. I don't know why. I just did. I went mad. I went completely mad.
It doesn't surprise me.
I
Why did you
thought-
go mad in the 90s?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, you've gone mad in every single decade of your life, I
Well, that's
suspect.
absolutely true, actually. Who else? Mark Bolan. Now, I didn't think Mark Bolan was his peak in 71. Mark Bolan was T-Rex, and I thought all their bubblegum type stuff, like
Hmm. Yeah.
Jeepster and Telegram Sam
Yeah.
and...
What do you mean by bubblegum stuff?
Well, that's what it was, wasn't it? Sort of bubblegum
Well, no,
music.
it was pretty innovative stuff, actually.
Well, no, his innovative stuff was Riding White Swan and all that.
Yeah,
but
well-
that was still called Tyrannosaurus Rex then. Anyway, so this great book, right? Oh, by the way, I think Maggie May was 1971 as well. That's
Might have
quite
been,
a
yeah.
significant record, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yes. And Elvis Presley played Las Vegas with a show described by one critic as middle-aged kind of fun because he was getting fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So, I mean, what is the point of this whole book, then?
Well, the point is, what they're saying is that 1971 shaped what we listen to even to this day.
I'm not sure
that
that's
it was the
true.
greatest year, you know?
I'm not sure that's true.
It's always a good excuse
Well,
to
shall
play
we
a
just
bit
play
of...
music from 1971 tonight?
No, not at all.
Why not?
Now, listen, I'll
I've still
tell you
got some
what...
more tweets to read out.
Oh, yeah, OK, let's get a few more read out. Yeah, come on, then.
Pete says, trying to be clever, are you saying he's a socks offender? Hashtag bit harsh.
Socks offender.
It's not bad, that, is it?
I like that.
Chris, having seen your picture, says it's not a good look.
What?
He says it's not a good look.
Why, what's wrong with the look?
Well, you tell me. I mean, you can ask me any number of things that are wrong with
I
it.
haven't actually
Huey
seen the
says, what's up
picture
with
yet."
Porky's face? Bright red and a milky white body. As for the traders, what's wrong with shoes for a man of his age?
No, hang on. a minute.
Um,
Oh, here we
Mark
are. I've
says,
got it. Oh,
Father,
I see.
Father Christmas has really let himself go. James says, Porky's
Hmm.
modelling career for Marks and Spencer is going well. Maxwell says, I've seen better legs on an oil rig.
Really? Well, all rig legs are very solid, let me tell you. Yeah.
Ab says, looks like he's just come back from a family vacation. Glenn says, the last time I saw legs like that, they were hanging out of a nest.
Yes. You're right about my calf muscle. It's exceptionally sort of
They look very,
broad.
they look very bloated, actually.
Well, not bloated. It's solid muscle, believe me.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Solid muscle.
Solid muscle, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now then, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about.
What?
I want to talk to you about a situation involving...
By the way, Lincoln says Marvin Gaye's album What's Going On did not include Heard It Through the Grapevine.
Oh, did it not?
No.
Okay, well,
It
that must have come
included-
earlier.
Probably included What's Going On.
Yeah, it must
which
have-
was
yeah.
a very much longer and more thoughtful song.
Right, now I have an animal alert, okay?
Yeah.
I have an animal alert, but...
Animal alert. Saw a couple of rabbits in the garden today, actually.
Did you?
They're back.
In your garden?
Yeah.
Okay. Now then, I've got good news and bad news.
Have you?
Now, the good news is...
Can we have the bad news first?
No.
Well, I always like bad news first.
Okay, I'll give you the bad news first.
Go on.
The bad news is
Yeah.
that we are losing bees at an alarming rate.
Well, we've known that for ages.
No, but I'll tell you what else is happening. Not only are we losing bees at an alarming rate, bees are actually getting smaller.
Are they?
Yeah. And
I
this
saw
is,
a giant bee today.
oh, well, this is due to intensive farming methods, okay?
No, rubbish.
No, it is.
No, rubbish. I saw a massive bee today. Wasn't at all small.
Well, that could have been a queen bee. Now, the common ground nesting bees are carrying just over half of their usual pollen quota because of their reduced size. This is a major world crisis because if bees stop pollinating, we all starve to death.
yeah, but
you know
you've been
that,
going on
don't you?
about this ever since I've known you.
Well, I'm
Ever
still
since
going on about it.
In fact, not ever since I've known you, but ever since about 2010.
They
And we haven't started starving to death yet.
The ground nesting bees are thought to be the most important pollinators of many fruits, including strawberries.
Well, is this an
And-
allegation?
Eh?
Is that an allegation?
No, they are.
Well, you just said they're thought to be.
No, they are. I'll say they are.
Thought to be or not to be?
A bee is a bee. Now, they are the most important pollinators of strawberries. And Heather Connolly, who is a researcher at Cornell University in the US of A, said we tend to have
What?
smaller
the US
bees
of what?
of America.
The US
US of A.
Of A.
Yeah.
So like Borat. US a day.
We tend to have smaller bees in landscapes with lots of agriculture around.
Maybe we should get her on.
Research has shown that the bees are getting smaller. We should.
we get her on?
We should talk to her.
Yeah.
Now, that is the bad news, but I've got some really good news.
Okay, good news. What?
In
Is it about
20 years'
bees?
time,
Yeah.
20 years' time, there will be 3 times as many tigers on the planet as there are now.
No, so there'll be 3 then.
We are saving tigers.
Yeah, well, there'll be 3 of them.
Highly endangered
So
species.
You're not hearing me, are you?
Yes, I did. Yes, and
Well,
I'm
we've got-
ignoring
well,
your
we've got
stupid
hardly any
comments.
We've got hardly any tigers.
Well, this is why this is good news, isn't it?
Well, it is good news.
Right. Scientists say the global population could almost treble in the next 20 years if habitats
Although,
are
to be
restored.
honest, if I had to have a choice, right,
Yeah.
between bees disappearing and more tigers,
Yeah.
I think I'd rather get stung by a bee than be
Mauled by a tiger.
Mauled by a tiger.
Yeah, but you don't get mauled by tigers in this country.
well, you
'cause,
might if they don't stop growing.
No, they're proliferating in places like India.
Are they?
So unless you want to go to India to get eaten by a tiger.
Well, I don't want to
No.
go there to be eaten by a tiger.
It says over the past century, tiger numbers have been decimated by logging, agriculture, and deforestation.
What, you mean they've been reduced by 10?
No, you idiot!
That's
I'm not
what
giving you the
decimated-
face.
well,
Just
that's
stop
what it-
making stupid comments.
Well, that's what it means.
Stop making
Decimated
stupid
means
comments.
reduced by 10, factor of 10.
Right. What it says here is there are today only 3,200 wild tigers living in Asia.
Wow.
Right. 97% fewer than 100 years ago.
Okay.
So 100 years ago there were about 6,000.
Where have the rest of them gone then?
Well, they've perished because of
Perished?
deforestation.
Me hearties.
However, a satellite image study at the University of Minnesota, they do
yeah.
a lot of work on animals, these American universities,
Yeah,
you know,
they do, yeah.
found that enough wild habitat remains to allow a doubling of tiger numbers by 2022.
Super.
And the next 2 decades, the global population
Splendid.
could approach a trebling if
Excellent.
essential work is done to restore the deforested
Why are you
landscapes.
shouting?
Because I'm trying to make my point.
Okay.
Okay?
Remember
Now,
that scene in Apocalypse Now?
No.
Where they get off the boat and they go into the jungle.
Oh, yeah.
And then suddenly they come rushing back onto the boat because there's a tiger chasing them.
no. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
okay. Anyway, look, the other good news is, and I have information on this
Well, you've got
somewhere.
more good news.
Yeah, more good
I'm
news.
sure we've got time.
We're getting more tigers. Sorry, no, I've said that. Yeah, sorry. We're getting more elephants. We're getting more elephants, okay?
Well, not if there's more tigers around you.
No, we
mate,
are,
'cause They'll
we are.
start killing the elephants.
No, they don't.
They
Tigers
will.
don't kill
It's
elephants.
called nature's pruning fork.
No, it's not, honestly.
is.
And I've got some information on this.
All right, well, hold on to that one for
Yeah,
us. And we'll come back to
we
it.
are getting more elephants, which is
Okay.
good news.
Indian or African?
What?
Indian or African? There's a difference, you know.
In Africa.
So African elephants.
In
then?
Africa,
Or
yeah.
there are more Indian elephants in Africa.
No, you idiot. There's African elephants in Africa. Honestly, you're a half-bake. Honestly,
you
it's
very
very
much.
difficult to, present my theories and my research papers sensibly when you're just
I know.
sitting there sniping.
I'm terribly
because
sorry.
you haven't got a single
I'm just trying to make sense of it all.
fact in your head.
I've got a lot of facts. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Dan Thomas. There's a fact for you. And he's going to talk about Everton's woeful record. There's another fact for you. Only 6 wins since last October. There's another fact. Any more facts?
You are Tarzan.
Now, I've been asked to wish a happy birthday to one of our listeners as well. This came in a little bit earlier from Adam,
yes.
Adam Hemingway.
Oh,
Can
yes.
you please wish me a happy 26th birthday on your show tonight?
Definitely. What's his name again?
Adam Hemingway.
Adam Hemingway, same name as Ernest, the very famous author, who wrote For Whom the Bells Toll. Okay, yeah. Name another.
You're a big fan of Hemingway.
No, I'm not. I can't read Hemingway books.
Well, people published a picture. Funnily enough, somebody tweeted me a picture
Yeah.
of him. You know that famous picture of him in a bar in Key West?
Yes,
where
that's
he's
right.
kind of toasting
That's
the
right,
air.
yes.
And he does have a bit of a resemblance to you, actually.
He does, yeah, the beard, the woolly beard and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't read any Hemingway books. I tried to read them at school. For Whom the Bell Tolls.
I think reading about him is more interesting than reading
Yeah, I
his
do as
stuff,
well. He used to
actually.
fight bears and all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff and get
Yeah.
riotously
He was
drunk.
the original sort of macho man.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, he did. He used to go out hunting and all that kind of stuff. What was another book of his? For Whom the Bell Tolls.
For Whom the Bell Tolls, I
Ernest Hemingway.
was it? No, not so have not. I can't remember.
River, there's one with a river in the title.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, let's move on because I have some more incredible
I've
news.
got a much more interesting story for you. Actually,
go on, yeah.
Than that about him. It's about and this was then tweeted to me by somebody through the course of the weekend.
Oh, yes.
And it's about baby names that are going out of fashion.
Oh, yes.
Right. I don't know if you've spotted this one.
No.
One of them happens to be Michael. So apparently, as we get older, fewer and fewer people are called Mike or Michael.
Well, some names, really, over the generations attach themselves to adults. Like, for instance, who would ever call a baby Harold these days?
Harold, yeah, very few, I would
You know what I
imagine.
mean?
It would probably be considered posh. Here are the male names going out of fashion. Adam, Brendan, Damien, Gary, Jason, Mark, Michael, Matt, Scott, Stuart and Ross.
Oh, well, I'm quite amongst quite a few names going out of fashion. And what's coming into fashion?
Well, it doesn't say.
No,
but
you
what
see,
I've
that's-
got... But what I've-
they'll
but
be
I've got
replaced by stupid names
But I've
like
got an exercise for you.
all the names of, the pop idol group. What
Yeah.
are they called?
You mean One Direction?
One Direction, that's right. Harry. Oh, Harry, he's called Harry. Funny, isn't he? Yeah, funnily enough, yeah. Harry
There you go.
Styles.
No,
yeah.
but I've got an interesting sort of, not a quiz really, but a
Right.
sort of challenge for you.
Yeah.
Because I was going to go through the female names, right?
Yes.
Which are now going out of
Yes.
fashion. And I was going to ask you if you ever had a girlfriend by any of these names.
Okay, go on.
First, Amanda.
Amanda. No, but I've got a very good female friend called Amanda.
All right.
Which is
Angela.
not a girlfriend.
Angela.
Angela. Never come across an Angela.
Okay. Daniela.
Daniela. Well, I've monitored Daniela Westbrook's sort of
Well, that's not the
feisty
same.
career for
Yeah.
many
No,
years.
the
but
question is, have you ever had a girlfriend
no,
by
I
this
haven't.
name?
No.
All right. I had an Italian girlfriend called Daniela.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds Italian a bit, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Daniela.
Italian. Well, she
Sounds
was
like a
Italian.
minx with long flowing
Daniela.
black hair,
She was
sitting on
gorgeous.
the back of a Vespa scooter roaring through the middle of Rome.
Yeah.
Yes?
This was in Hampstead, actually.
Hampstead,
Yeah.
okay, well.
Donna is the next one.
Donna.
Not as in kebab.
Donna. No, that's Donna. Donna,
No,
now,
it's not. It's Donna.
didn't
It's not a
10cc...
doner kebab.
10cc...
That's one you give away to somebody else.
10cc wrote a song, didn't they, called Donna? Donna.
Did they? I think they might have done.
Yeah,
That's not the question. I
no,
haven't asked
no, I
you.
haven't been out with
have
a Donna.
10cc written a song
No,
about it?
No, I haven't been out with Donna.
Fiona.
Fiona. Oh, yes, I had a girlfriend called
Did you?
Fiona.
Go on.
And she went to Newcastle Polytechnic.
Oh, yeah.
And she was at the Queen's
Do
School,
you
Chester.
not mean University of Newcastle?
Well, it's University of the Tyne now, of course. Now, she was at the Queen's School in Chester when I was at the King's School.
right.
And
This
then,
is not the woman that you romanced so that you could pass the shorthand exam.
No, nothing to do with it. And then I pitched up in Newcastle because my mate who I shared a flat with in Nottingham when I was at the University of the Trent came from
You mean
Tynemouth.
Nottingham Polytechnic.
University of the Trent, came from Tynemouth. So he was back up there one weekend in his Lotus 7, the prisoner car.
Oh, yeah.
The two seats.
Lotus 7? No, I don't remember. I remember a Lotus in Lan.
No, it's a Lotus
I remember
7.
a Lotus Esprit.
Lotus 7 had the big fenders over the wheels. It was a two-seater car.
No, I don't remember
It was
it.
the kit car,
I
put
sort of
together.
I sort of remember the prisoner car. I didn't know it was a Lotus.
That's a Lotus 7,
Was it?
yeah.
Okay.
So he was back up there, Tynemouth. We went to a party at somebody's house,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden Fee was there. And I
Fee?
said, hello, where are you from? Yeah, Fiona. And
I mean, you didn't know her before, though.
I did. I'd known her from the
Well,
Queen's
why
School
did you
Chester.
say, where are you from, then?
No, I said, what are you doing here?
No, you said, where are you from?
No, I didn't.
You just said, where are you from?
No, I didn't.
You did.
I didn't. I said, what are you doing here?
You just said, where are you from?
I did not. So anyway, so what happens then is
Well, did you ask her if she'd like a doner kebab?
Why would I ask that? What a stupid question.
Well, I don't know, because you might want to give her one.
We had a brief romance that night, put it that way.
Really?
Yes.
Full sex?
We repaired to a bedroom and locked the door. Right? Yeah.
So, what, a bedroom in somebody else's house?
Yes.
That's disgraceful.
Yeah, it is really, I suppose.
Pas trop fort, d'accord. Parce que la seconde croche, il faut inventer, y a pas.
You'll be able to identify this piece of music, obviously.
That's Yehudi.
Well, yeah, it is. Of course, it's Yehudi.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
him talking as well in the background. You can hear him.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Yehudi was a great guy, but unfortunately what happened was...
So you're not going to identify that for us, then?
Well, that's
Well, if he's one of
Yehudi's...
your heroes, surely you know every piece of music he's played.
No, of course I don't, because he played thousands
Well,
of
if you
pieces of
played me
music.
an Eric Clapton song, I'd tell you what it was.
Yeah, I'm not even going to pretend that I know exactly which piece of Yehudi music that is.
That's good, because you don't.
Now, hang on. Now,
Do you want to take a stab at it?
What?
Do you want to take a stab at it?
All right, it was Yehudi's fifth.
Yehudi didn't write symphonies.
Right,
He was
okay.
playing Mozart.
Oh, okay. He's playing a bit of Mozart, was
Yeah.
he? Okay, yeah. Well,
Bit of
that's
Mozart.
that's all right. Now, what I was going to say to you was, what happened was, right? He was.
What are we talking about now?
Yehudi.
Oh, okay.
And,
We're still on
why, when he got to middle age, his concerts were so dreadful,
Oh,
people
right.
were walking out.
So what happened to him then?
What happened was this, and it wasn't revealed
Yeah.
until, well, really, maybe I'm revealing it now, actually. What happened was, when he was about 25,
Yeah.
right, and he was living on Long Island,
Yeah.
which is...
Long Island.
Long Island, yeah, in New York,
Yeah,
right?
right.
He was invited to a shooting party.
Oh, yeah.
Joined guests at a shooting party. Oh, no, it was a shooting range. It wasn't like shooting
No,
pheasants
because
and all that.
there's a handgun law in New York State. You can't have guns.
Well, they did in Long Island.
No, well, I mean, it's a shooting range. That's different.
The shooting range, yeah.
Yeah.
This is in 1941.
You're allowed to shoot in a range, but you're not
That's
allowed
right,
to
yeah.
carry a gun, like, on the street.
So anyway, he said, "Oh, come down." You know, it was like a big country estate somebody had. So he said, come down to the shooting range." So he
Okay.
goes down. So
Bit of clay pigeon shooting, you think?
no, I think it was shooting at targets.
Right.
Shooting at targets,
Okay,
right?
right.
So what happens was he goes down there, and of course he had a particularly well-developed shoulder because that's where he rested his violin.
Yes.
And he played his
Well, you
violin.
don't really need to have a well-developed shoulder. It's just something you get used to.
Well, this is what I'm saying. He had a very
Does you wear
versatile
a cushion
shoulder.
normally underneath the violin?
No, he didn't wear
No,
a
you
cushion.
do. You all wear, every
Oh,
violin.
yeah, he did wear a cushion, yeah. He
I
did
used to
wear
play
it.
the violin.
That's right, yeah, he did wear a cushion, yeah. In fact, he wore a cushion both under the violin and under his chin onto the violin.
right.
Two cushions, okay? Yeah. So anyway, what happened was, you see, him being a violinist,
Yeah.
somebody said, "Oh, have you ever fired a gun, Yehudi?" And he said, "No, I've never fired a gun."
Right.
He said, "Oh,
Well,
would you-"
Mr. Menuhin.
Yeah, Mr. Menuhin. Would you like a go? So he said, "Yeah, okay, why not?" So what's your...
Well, just long,
No.
drawn-out story.
No, this is a great
Which is going to
story.
end with him going deaf from the gunshot,
No,
presumably.
not
Is
at
it?
all.
No?
Not at
Okay,
all.
right.
So he picks it up, and
Right.
because he's a violinist,
Right.
and he hadn't got a clue what you do with a gun,
Right.
he picks it up and he
Did he
puts...
try and play it?
No, he puts the handle of the gun against his left shoulder.
No.
He does. And turns sideways, you
Yeah.
see what I mean?
Right.
So, in fact, what he did is he
Well,
put...
why didn't they give him a lesson and say that's not how you do it?
Well, I don't know. Perhaps they thought because he's Yehudi Menuhin and he's a genius, you can't tell a genius what to do.
Yeah.
So he picks up the gun and he literally lodges it in his shoulder,
Yeah.
like it's a violin, if you see what I mean. And then he fires at the target.
And then there's a bit of recoil.
He gets a bullseye.
Right.
So somebody
that's
said,
not bad, is it?
Somebody said, "Excuse me, you said you'd never fired a gun before."
Yeah.
I said, "I've never fired a gun before." He said, "You just hit the bullseye." He said, "Nobody does that."
The bull's eye.
Yeah, he said,
Why
"Nobody."
can't you say the bullseye?
I've just told you.
How-
Shut
what
up.
What did he hit? Tell me.
So
Tell me what he hit.
Somebody said,
Oh, come on.
"No, I'm not."
Tell me what bullseye like everybody else.
You've become a one-trick pony, you know.
No, I haven't.
Just picking up on every word I
Oh, no,
say,
because
and
you
I
say
think the
everything
audience
wrong.
find it intensely
no,
boring.
they don't.
You know.
It's because you say everything wrong.
So anyway,
Like somebody who's actually been made in space and been taught English by an alien.
yeah, I'm going to ignore all this nonsense. So anyway, one of the guests at the shoot says, "Well, that must have just been beginner's luck."
Yeah.
He says, "Yes, it probably was." But then somebody said, "Well, go on, try it again, see what happens this time," because they wanted him to miss the target altogether.
Right.
He then picks up another gun, a
Right.
different gun.
Uh-huh.
He puts it into his shoulder.
Yeah.
the same way as he
Yeah.
did the first time.
Unorthodox style.
Unorthodox style, like a violin.
Right.
He then fires it again. Guess what?
He hits another bullseye.
He hits the bull's eye. Just like that. Bang, straight through.
Amazing.
So then somebody says, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
He said, that's the only 2 times I've ever fired a gun.
Right.
Somebody asked him to do it again because
Right.
it's now become a party piece and they're inviting more people down.
Crowds are gathering.
Yeah, to watch. And he said, no, I'm not. He said, to be honest, that didn't do my shoulder any good. From that moment on, he couldn't play the violin as well as he had. So this genius playing the violin all his life since the age of 8 had suddenly knackered his shoulder
What, just from shooting a gun twice?
shooting a gun twice.
What, did it bruising or something
The
like
recoil from the gun
Yeah.
had done his shoulder in.
Right.
And do you know what? After that, sometimes, literally, he was playing concerts where people were walking out because it sounded so bad.
that? I find that very hard to believe.
No, it's absolutely true.
Where are you getting all this from?
Mahen Yuen was a teenage prodigy, but in later life, following the gun incidents, right, his bow arm, he had problems with his bow arm and his shoulder,
Right.
and his concerts became, literally, according to one critic, a toe-curling experience.
I find that very hard to believe. Who is this alleged critic? Who is it?
A critic.
A critic.
A critic.
Is this not just another smear job by one of your sort of former tabloid...
Why would I want to smear Yehudi Menuhin,
I
one of
don't
the
know.
greatest musicians
I
of
don't
all
know.
time?
But
eh?
I've never heard that in his later life, somehow his concerts became toe-curling experiences.
yeah, they
and that he
were.
was awful.
Yeah, they were.
I just don't believe it.
Well, they were.
I don't believe it.
No, they were. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
All right, well, let me tell you some of the things that are coming in. Tom says this on Twitter at the
Right.
Two Mics. Porky Parry's always annoying, but even for him tonight, it's proving to be an incredible demonstration of absolute nonsense.
Sorry, what was that then?
What you've just been saying.
No. People find it fascinating. I know things other people don't know because I read a lot more than they do. I have access
Is that
to all
right?
sorts of information.
Angelo says this. Eric Clapton, worst guitarist in the world. Really? Even Porky wouldn't say something that
I
stupid.
didn't say that.
Yeah, you did.
I never said that.
Here's one from Steve, who says, whenever he says stockbroker belt Surrey, I think stocky fat bloke Parry.
Hey, that's a bit harsh.
A lot of people complaining about you shouting as well.
Yes, well, I'm afraid that sometimes your nonsense rambling,
William says you need
garbage that
two
you-
radios set at different volumes, one turned lower to allow for Porky's shouting,
Yes.
and one higher for MG to listen to.
Yeah, well, that's because you mumble, you see. People can't hear what you're
And
saying.
by the way, there's somebody called Alan who's tweeted a picture of, remember that Beast in the Thames story that we
Yes,
talked about
indeed, I
yesterday?
do, yeah.
He says, the BBC 5 Live are covering this story, what do you think? And I said to him, well, I'll tell you what I think. We did it yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
It's now on the front page of the Daily Star.
It is,
And
indeed.
you were mocking me yesterday for saying that it was some kind of
Well, it's
strange...
It's obviously driftwood or something, isn't it?
It's not obviously
Yeah,
driftwood.
yeah.
The scientists are completely baffled as to what it could be.
Let me just read this to you. Amazing footage yesterday emerged showing a sea creature dubbed the Dock Ness Monster
Oh, yeah.
wading through London waters.
Yeah.
The brief film clip shows a hump creature making its way through the Thames near the O2 Arena.
That's right.
Isn't that where Saturday's fight's taking place?
It is indeed.
Yes, that's
Anthony
right,
Joshua, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Before sinking back under the water.
Yeah.
A guy called, this strange name, the person who filmed it is called Penn Plate,
Yeah.
who filmed the creature after spotting it from the air as he crossed the river on the Emirates airline cable car above Greenwich. Something huge was moving under the water and then briefly surfaced. Are the whales in the Thames? Is it a weird submarine?
Well, there have been whales in the Thames before, haven't there?
Yeah, but they...
I mean, quite rare, but I mean, it does happen.
yeah, one got away, didn't it? And lived another 40 years, we heard
Well, I
recently.
think one got away and another one died that came up the river.
Yes,
Do you remember
that's
the one?
right.
There was one that came up, and do you remember the guy who went to rescue it, or was part of the rescue
Yeah,
squad,
yeah.
parked his car on, I think it was either London Bridge or one of the bridges,
Yeah,
Tower Bridge,
yeah.
and got a parking ticket
Did he?
while he
Yeah,
was trying
yeah.
to rescue the whale.
Well, that's what happens to do-gooders, I'm afraid.
Do-gooders.
Yeah,
I thought
right.
that was what you did. Now, your favourite newspaper is in,
Yes.
the New Day. Do you know
That's
what it
right.
says on the back? The personal listography this
Yeah,
morning.
that's right.
I think you might struggle with this one. List 3 good things about yourself.
No, you see, that's fascinating. What would you put down there?
Good things?
Yeah, about yourself.
I would say honourable. I would say
Honourable.
loyal
Loyal.
and loving.
Oh, don't make me laugh.
What's wrong with that?
You'll make me laugh.
Honourable,
honestly.
loyal and loving. That's
You
what
think
I'd
you're
say.
honourable?
Yeah.
With your track record of relationship, do
honourable.
you think you're honourable?
Yes, I am honourable.
So you're honourable to your first wife, were you?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
No, you weren't.
Our marriage didn't work out
Why?
for lots of reasons.
No, because you were infidelious.
No, it wasn't just because of that.
On a number of
No,
occasions.
It wasn't just because of that.
What was your second classification?
I said loyal.
Loyal?
Yeah.
Who are you loyal to?
I'm loyal to my friends.
You haven't got any friends.
I've got more friends than you've got.
No. You like me. You haven't got any
I have.
friends.
No, I have.
I don't have any friends by choice. You go seeking friends, and then you think you're loyal to them
Really?
because you share a few beers with
Yeah.
them.
Well, if you knew any of my friends and you asked them what
You haven't got any friends.
If you asked any of
When
them,
do you ever go and see your friends?
I see my friends all the time.
Rubbish.
Yeah, I do.
Rubbish.
I just don't tell you about it. 'Cause I don't want to get jealous.
No. You either spend time with me or your lovely daughter
I hardly
Emma,
ever spend any time
or
with you.
your family
I
down
spend
in
as
Sussex.
little time with you as possible.
You don't have any friends who you go and see.
I have
know
plenty
that.
of friends that I go
And what
and
was
see.
the third classification of
And the
yours?
third one was, what was it? Honourable, loyal, and loving.
Can't remember.
Loving.
Oh yeah, who do you love?
I love loads of people.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, I see, I have a family.
Yeah.
And you don't know anything about that.
Yeah,
Because you don't have one.
I know all about it. Don't
So
worry.
you're on your own, like a solitary sort of,
No.
sado.
Not at all.
Whereas I've got love for all my 4 children. I've got love for the mothers of those children.
Oh, well,
I've
I'm
got love for
delighted.
my mother. I've got love for my sister. I've got love for a lot of things.
Why do you think our favourite paper, New Day, has gone on another women's issue on the front?
Well, because it's a paper aimed at women.
Sexism row sparked after ex-army boss says women should not serve on front line.
Yeah, it's a paper aimed at women. They deliberately aim the front page at women and
Well-
try and do stories that women are interested in.
Do they actually say this? Have they
No,
actually
they-
made
they-
it clear
they-
this is a women's issue
they-
paper?
they set that
Not
out-
that I'm against it, of course.
Yeah, no, of course not. You
The,
wouldn't be. But they set that out as their agenda at the beginning.
Okay, well, the purchaser will decide whether or not there is a market, a gap in the market for that. So we wish this paper a long and healthy life.
Yeah, well, we wish every paper a long and healthy
Well,
life.
of course
but
we do,
sadly,
yeah.
the market does not dictate that is going to be the case, I think.
No.
That is the problem.
I'm going to adopt a new social behavioural policy for
are you?
Manchester.
Oh, you're going to start being nice to me.
No, not necessarily, although I will be providing you're civilised, but it takes the form of bladderation
Yeah.
in moderation.
Oh, yeah.
And
Is this your new mantra?
my new mantra is bladderation in moderation.
Yeah.
And I'll be starting that this weekend on a trip to Manchester
Blimey.
by pursuing my new health kick.
First time for everything.
Yeah, my new
You're
health
looking
kick,
much better, actually.
which is called the beer diet.
All right. The beer diet.
The beer diet. I
Right.
haven't had a glass of wine
Right.
for over 2 weeks.
Really?
I've decided that the only fluids I want coursing through my veins are beer,
Hmm. Yeah.
relatively weak alcoholic content
Right.
compared
Did
to
you
the
set yourself a
concentration
limit of
wine.
number of pints or anything like that?
I won't be drinking pints. I'll be having a bottle of beer here and there.
What, you mean like a half pint? I thought you said people that drank half pints should be exiled from all public houses in the country.
Well, we don't-
Have you changed that view?
We don't classify a bottle of beer as a half pint, do we? We classify it as a bottle, you see what I mean?
Well, yes, but I mean, it's still technically half a pint.
Well,
Isn't
it might be, but it's a bottle of beer, and I got a beer, and it's usually a Beck's or a Heineken.
Well, it doesn't have to be. I mean,
No, it doesn't have to be.
Very, very wide variety of
Or the
beers
Sol.
available.
The Sol. Oh,
in
I tell you what I
bottles.
like. Tell you
What
what I
about
like the
Corona with a little lime in the top?
No, I don't like that. That's for posers and poseurs. I like the
Posers and poseurs.
I like the Peroni, which is the Italian one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Now listen, I want to talk to you about the vagaries of showbiz fame. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So old what's his name? What's his name? Has had a hard time lately. Vernon Kay.
Vernon Kay.
Because he's got involved in another dispute about
With this
whether or
page
not
3 girl.
page 3 lady, who's a very attractive
It's
lady.
very much a he said, she said, isn't
It's
it?
a he said, she said, and who's been exchanging between two. But nevertheless,
Yeah.
it says here, this is a report from tomorrow morning's tabloid newspapers.
Yeah.
Sex text love rat.
Yeah.
Isn't that a bit of a hackneyed old phrase to use in
Well, I
tabloid
mean,
newspapers these days?
if the cap fits, it's as good a one as any, isn't it?
Okay. Sex text
Because
love
even
rat.
if it's not true this time, it was true last time.
It was true last
So
time.
technically, it's still true.
Sex text love rat Vernon Kay has been dealt yet another blow after his new ITV show Drive crashed and burned.
Oh, yes.
It says that Tuesday's first episode, billed as ITV's answer to Top Gear, got just 1.9 million viewers. Compared to the BBC hits 5.6 million average.
Funnily enough, this show has completely passed me by. You know, I don't watch an awful lot of TV
Yeah.
anyway, but
Yeah.
I was watching, I think yesterday morning, I switched on Good Morning Britain
Oh,
briefly
right.
to have a look and see what was going on.
Yeah.
Because Piers is not on it at the moment, so I tend not to watch him when he's not on it.
No,
and they
I
had a whole
agree.
completely different set of people on it.
That's right.
But they went to the weather woman, and she had apparently been on this show the night before.
Oh, okay.
And they were making all these jokes about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what they were talking about
No.
because I hadn't seen the show.
Well, apparently what it is they set up just a load of sort of dummy races, and celebrities, so-called celebrities or whatever, race against each other. But it says that a programme on the opposite channel about an investigation into autism, I think it was, got 2.5 million viewers. No, hang on, sorry, I beg your pardon. Autism drama, The A Word. So it's a drama, but it's got some content in it which involves an autistic person.
Yes.
Autism drama,
Yeah,
The
now
A
that
Word.
I am aware of because I've
Okay.
seen people writing about that.
On BBC One at the same time drew 5.3 million. That's nearly 3 times as many. So anyway, look, there's that. And then the other thing I was going to tell you about was having a look at some research papers on show business today. The what's the name of the guy? Sacha Baron Cohen, is it?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Is that his full name?
It is. He's
Yeah,
the guy that did Borat.
Yeah, he did Borat, but he lately he's done Grimsby.
Yes.
It says Grimsby
That's his new film.
has been an unmitigated disaster.
Has it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, not everything he does is brilliant, I have to say. I mean, I saw The Dictator,
Yeah.
which was the one he did after Borat, which
Yes.
was sort of loosely based on a mixture of Muammar Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein.
That's right, yeah.
And it was meant to be a comedy. And it was kind of funny in bits, but
Yeah.
then it wasn't a film I could watch all the way through.
It says here his masterful prankery. That's a sort of word we'd use, isn't it, in our show? His masterful prankery, as Ali G and Borat established him as the king of shock comedy.
Yeah.
But Sacha Baron Cohen's latest film, Grimsby, is a huge flop.
Are you sure?
Yeah. And it says, where did it all go wrong? And then what it says a bit of what you've just said. When he does this very cutting and stinging comedy where real people think that he's being abusive and rude to them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the original one, based
What, when
in...
he did Ali G, you mean?
No, Kazakhstan.
Oh, Borat.
Borat,
That's what I
right.
mentioned
Yeah,
to you
yeah,
earlier,
yeah. You know, I mean, in that, he pretended he was a real TV person, didn't
Yeah.
he? And asked banal questions of people and all that kind of stuff. He asked one guy, I never saw the film, but I saw one, and he said, why have you married a woman who's so ugly and all that kind of stuff? And people thought it was a serious question.
Right.
Anyway, what it says that because the shock factor became too sort of, predictable, he had to change to other things. So after Borat came then came Borat, the Kazakh native. Borat, that's him. The Kazakh native touring backwoods American. His creator's career-making film. Geography was in play again. But then it says, one problem was that since the start, he's been trying to outrun nature. Like Ali G, Borat's success left the character used up. And the same thing happened to Bruno Gerhard, who was apparently his gay Austrian fashion journalist.
Yeah.
So finally, in an attempt at sustainability, Baron Cohen quit the prank interviews altogether, first with Dictator, which was a half-funny scripted comedy, and now with Grimsby, which has been an almighty flop. So it says that that's
Well, they're
it.
saying that it's grossed 6.8 million in North America, 19 million in other territories. That's dollars, for a total of 25.9 million against a budget of 35 million. So it hasn't got its budget back yet.
Is
but-
that right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a flop, isn't it?
Well, I
in
suppose
Hollywood terms.
In Hollywood terms, it
Yeah.
might be, yeah. But I think it's still being seen by quite a lot of people.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. Now then, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah,
I want
go
to
on.
talk to you about, did you know that, I mean, this is an amazing thing. This came from historical... I've been researching a few historical papers today,
Have you?
okay? A few historical papers. But a guy called Joe Medicine Crow has died.
Joe Medicine Crow.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with who that is.
I'm going to tell you in a minute.
Yeah.
He was 102. And can you believe that his dad was Custer's Last Stand's
Right.
chief Indian scout?
Was he? So he was on Custer's side.
He's on Custer's side.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that
So
amazing?
he was a sort of a turncoat then.
No, he wasn't a turncoat. What happened was he was the
Well,
reason he's...
surely if he was a Native American or an
No.
Indian in those days working for Custer.
Nah.
He was a turncoat.
No, it wasn't a turncoat. Joe Medicine Crow.
Yeah.
The hint is in the name, Crow. He was from the Crow tribe.
Yeah.
Now, the Crow tribe were the first American tribe to do a deal with the striped legs.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're not turncoats.
No, they're not turncoats.
Why not?
They decided to live in harmony with the white man, who
Well,
was
they
the
would be
invader.
considered to be turncoats, surely,
Well, hang
by
on.
the other Indian nations.
I would consider them to be the most sensible race of Native Americans.
might say that.
Because they decided, instead of fighting them like what's his name in his Cadillac?
What?
Hey, boy, take me back. I want to ride in Geronimo's Cadillac, okay?
Geronimo.
So instead of Geronimo, who never stopped fighting the American army, Joe Medicine Crow's dad became a scout for Custer, right? And fought alongside him in the Battle of Little Bighorn, which is in July 1876.
Okay.
Imagine that. Imagine being able to say, and this guy has just died, and he was 102.
Yeah.
But imagine being able to say, oh, yeah, my old fella fought alongside Custer at the Battle of Little Bighorn.
Right.
Just I mean, that's living history.
Well, I suppose so.
That is living history.
Well, I mean, that's what history is, isn't it?
I'm
I mean,
sometimes-
everybody's related to somebody. I mean, you'd love to be related to somebody famous, wouldn't you?
Well, hang
But
on.
that's the trouble, because you're not.
No.
You're not related to anybody famous.
No, talk about war heroes. Isn't it amazing? If my father was still alive today,
Yes.
in which case he would be 90. He'd
Right.
be 90, right?
Uh-huh.
He'd be able to say to me, I remember on D-Day, the beaches.
Yeah.
Because he was there.
Well, that's what you say.
I mean, this is living... What do you mean,
Well, you
what I
always say
say?
that. You always say that he was there, but I mean,
He
I've
was.
no,
He was on the
I have
D-Day
no reason-
invasion.
I have no reason to believe that.
I don't care whether you believe
You
it or
haven't
not.
provided any evidence at all.
Well, then where'd you get the evidence from? What do you want me to do?
Well, I presume he's got a warrant card. He's got some
show
kind
you
of
his
a
naval
demob-
record.
He's got he'll have a naval record.
But he died 30 years ago.
My dad had his demob papers when
Actually,
he
he
was.
died 35 years ago.
My dad had his demob papers when he was let go from the RAF.
And have you got them?
My mother's got them. Yeah,
Right, okay, so that's fine.
I've seen them. He showed them to
I
me.
feel grateful for you. Well, my father showed me his medals.
Has he?
And one of them was the D-Day landing
Well,
campaign.
where are they then?
Well, I suppose my mother's got them now.
Well, why don't you get one of them?
What for?
Well, so I can see it.
I don't have to boast about my father's
Well, you're always
achievements in
boasting
the
about
war.
it. Well, you're always boasting about it.
What I'm saying is, it is amazing to find that you can be in connection with living history.
Yeah.
Living history.
But you would like to be part of something bigger than that, wouldn't you? You'd like
What
to
do you
be,
mean?
you know, you'd like your father to have been more famous than that. So you could say that he was the man that shot
Not
somebody
at
or
all.
other
I was
off
very
the-
happy
off
with
the
what my
deck.
father's achievements were all about.
Yeah.
Crow country in North America once sprawled over 30 million acres of Wyoming and
You've seen
Montana,
the time, by the way.
stretching all the way to Canada.
Yeah.
Today, the reservation, 2.3 million.
It's 110 to 96 now to
Well, I've told you how it's going to end. It'll end 117, 112. I've told you already.
You said it was 112 to 106, I think.
No, I
didn't
didn't. No.
you? Yeah. 112, 104 I've got.
Okay,
written
112, 104. Well, that'll be very close
down.
anyway.
Yeah, all right, we'll let you know.
She knows music, I know music too, you see. She got the power, the teen queen Rosalie. 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 Rosalie.
We are the two mics. There's lots more coming up. Loads of.
Now, what was that?
Well, this was. Remember when I said that? Wasn't there a song by Thin Lizzy called Rosemary?
Yeah, well, there wasn't.
There's Rosalie.
Well, you
Sounds
got that
like
wrong
it.
then, didn't you?
Well, no, but Murphy and Bexley was good enough to correct me. I knew it was
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, well, it didn't-
Rosalie, Rosemary. What's the difference? Rosemary,
hang on, the other Rosemary I remember
Shoebury
is...
Town.
No, what was that one? Shoebury
Do you
Town.
know we should remind people of that when we go to Manchester?
Yeah, definitely. Shoebury
I wonder if
Town,
we've still
yeah.
got that.
Yeah,
Shoebury
we'll get
Town.
it. The
Really
other one
bad
I
hat.
remember is, what about this? Oh, Rosemary, I love you.
Rosemary.
Yeah, who was that?
I don't know. Sounds like country and western.
That's it is country
I'll tell you what we
western.
haven't talked about. People didn't want me to tell you. Merle Haggard.
Rosemary.
Merle Haggard has died.
Who?
Merle Haggard, who was one of the original kind of country and western stars around, probably you would say
Yeah.
around the time of Johnny Cash. He probably
Oh,
started.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
So famous, I've never heard of him.
Well, you haven't heard
And
of
I
lots of
worked
people.
in America
Well, he hasn't
for a
heard of
number
you
of
either.
years. No, I know,
Well,
so...
yeah, but you've already declared that
Yeah.
you hate country and western music.
Well, I hear all these boxcar Willie type guys. They're just a load of bums.
What do you mean?
Yeah, these guys who,
You mean the guys that actually did travel on the train?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
Beggars.
What about Jack Kerouac?
basically. Who?
What about Jack Kerouac?
Never heard of him.
You've never heard of Jack
Never
Kerouac?
heard of Jack Kerouac in my life.
Really?
Willie Nelson
You've
was
never
it?
read Jack Kerouac at all?
Was
he was a beatnik.
who?
A beatnik.
Who?
Jack Kerouac.
Yeah. What about Boxcar Willie though? He
What
was.
about him?
Well, I mean, he genuinely was a sort of travelling bum, wasn't he?
Well, he
Who,
was called Boxcar Willie because he was in boxcars.
That's
That was
what
the
I'm
whole
saying.
point.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, I mean, we shouldn't admire people like that because they're just.
Well, no, they were pioneers. They were modern day pioneers of the great American continent.
Just beggars on society, you know what I mean? What do you call these people? Parasites on the wealth of
parasites.
society.
Jack Kerouac from Lowell, Massachusetts.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
He was an American novelist and poet, considered an iconoclast alongside William S. Burroughs and Allen Ginsberg.
Really? Yeah.
Pioneers of the Beat generation. How can you not have heard of him?
Fascinating. Listen, you know, I've said in the past, I think English should be the dominant language in the whole of the world.
You have said that, yeah.
Right, listen.
Much derision.
Do you realise...
Do you know want me to read some more tweets out?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Go on.
Here's one because people are supporting you about PFI.
Oh, excellent,
We in
good.
Huddersfield are about to lose our hospital, says this texter, because Halifax Hospital is in huge debt
Yeah.
because of PFI.
That's right.
And so in the end, of course, because the the tax man cometh.
That's right. Somebody's got to
basically-
pay the debt.
Basically, if the place is not working out,
That's right.
they just shut it down.
Well, the point
and turn it
is-
into flats.
The point is, every health authority gets a grant from the government to run the health authority. That's why we have taxes to support the health service.
Yeah.
But when the guy running the health authority suddenly finds that, hang on, so we get, for instance, 100 million a month, right? but 50 million of that is to pay service charges on a debt for building the place in the first place, then the whole system is complete rubbish.
Well, you've explained that already.
Yeah.
Woodenhead says this: if Parry lived in that Italian village, he'd never live to be 100, as he'd forever remain middle-aged like he is now.
I don't think so. In fact, well, that's a compliment, because...
Yeah, but you've always said that you are in early middle age.
Yeah, I'm in the middle age, and you try to tell people I'm heading towards old age,
Well,
which
you
is
are.
rubbish.
Well, I mean, I know that 60's the new 50 and all that, but, still.
Yeah, when I get to 60, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank
Is
you
that
very
all right?
much.
Yeah.
D says this: I agree with MG. If you want to marry my daughter and expect me to pay for it, then it's not looking good already. See, that's a good point. And Melvin says, with you on weddings, I've got 4 girls, and I've told them if the man can't afford to pay for the wedding, he ain't worth marrying.
Well,
I think that's a very good point.
yeah, Mr. Brazil's got 3 daughters,
Yeah.
one of whom is already married.
Yeah.
He's got another 2 to come.
And did he pay for their weddings?
Of course he did, because he's a
Well,
gentleman.
he's a very old-fashioned guy.
Gentleman.
But I'm not willing to do that. I think that sets a bad precedent.
Yeah, well, you say that.
Stephen says, wrong, Porky. PFI started under John Major, but yes, it did really take off under Gordon Brown.
Thank you.
So you're not really wrong then,
No,
are you?
of course I'm not
In
wrong.
fact, you're right.
Yeah, exactly, I'm right,
Peter
yeah.
says, tell Porky Jonathan King went to Charterhouse in Surrey, not Cambridge, and he got the band Genesis started.
Yeah, I know you went to Charterhouse, because that's on the A3 down to the coast, and I pass it every time I go down there.
It's a boarding school.
It's a boarding school, yeah, a very, very good boarding
Well, did he
school.
not go
very
on to
expensive.
university
Well, that's
after
what I'm saying. He went on to Oxbridge after that. I'm not sure which one
Oxbridge.
it was. Well, Oxbridge
You
is...
can't say
Oxford-
Oxbridge as if it's a geographical term.
Oxbridge is an academic term, meaning
but
either
you-
Oxford
but
or
you can't-
Cambridge
but
University.
Yeah, but you can't say he went to Oxbridge.
You can. You
Because
can
it's-
say he's a product of Oxbridge.
No,
You
I
can.
disagree.
No, it's in the same way as we describe the newspaper industry as Fleet Street,
Yeah.
OK? It's generic.
Yeah, but it's one, isn't it? It's one street. You're not putting
yeah.
2 streets together. It's not like Fleet Street and the Strand, and you call
No.
it Street Street.
No, but there is no Fleet Street anymore in terms of a newspaper
no,
industry.
but your allegory is wrong.
No, it's not.
It is.
Anyway, listen, I want to tell you about this. You know, I keep saying that English should be spoken by everybody in the world, and then there'd be no miscommunication.
Well, it'd be good if you started speaking in English.
I speak great English. Can I tell you this? Do you know how many French words there are in the English language?
I think I do.
Yeah?
Because once you told me not long ago that the French are now annoyed because the French
Yeah.
are adopting more and more
So
English
many
words.
English words, yeah.
But
here-
now you're going around the other way and telling me that there are lots of French words in the English
I'm going to
language.
run you off a list
Well,
of...
that's because
Yeah.
of the Norman invasion, isn't
Well,
it?
I'm about to reel off a number of words. You will be amazed, right? And our listeners,
I won't be amazed at all.
They're going to be amazed. Listen to this
No, I
very
won't be.
quickly. I'll reel these off, right?
Okay, go on.
Maisonette, cul-de-sac, ensuite, bidet, chic, coiffeured, concierge, suite, as in suite of rooms, a la carte.
Or as in ensuite bathroom.
That's right. A la carte, gourmet, hors d'oeuvres.
I never knew that was French.
Yeah. Gâteau, fondue,
Fondue, what is
fondue.
that? What is fondue?
It's like a paste you put on a cracker. Sommelier.
Get me some of that fondue
Yeah,
paste.
that's right,
for my
yeah.
cracker.
Sommelier. Okay.
Sommelier, yes, what's that?
He's a wine waiter.
Right, okay,
Right.
well, a bit more than a
Yeah,
waiter.
Okay. Duvet,
Duvet, yes.
chiffon.
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 Chiffon, you
That's
mean.
like a material, isn't it?
Yeah, pronounced chiffon here.
Yeah. Negligé. Ooh la
Careful,
la.
steady.
Okay. Negligé.
Right. What about lingerie? You haven't got that one in yet.
Lingerie comes next. Lingerie, yeah. And then tour de force. Okay.
Tour de force.
Tour de force.
These are all French words.
No, but these are expressions in English.
They're not
They
English.
are. They're English expressions.
No, they're French.
I often say that when we go into the broadcasting world, we're a tour de force on radio.
It
You know
doesn't
what I
make
mean?
it English, does it?
No, it doesn't, but I'm telling you, these are all now accepted expressions in English.
What do you mean now?
My favourite breakfast food, croissant, okay?
Yeah.
You go to the cinema on a Sunday afternoon, what do you go? You go to a matinee, right?
What?
You go to a matinee if you go to see a film in the afternoon.
Nobody calls it that anymore.
Of course they do.
No, they don't. They call it a matinee if it's on the stage, I would say.
If
I've never been to a Sunday afternoon cinema and had it called a matinee.
I have all the time.
You don't go to the cinema.
When I do, if I go in the afternoon, I say I'm going to the matinee.
Well, you could say it.
Or if
but
I go to the
nobody
West
else
End,
says
if
that.
I go to a West End play on a Tuesday afternoon, it's a matinee.
When was the last time you went to a West End play on
I
a
never have
Tuesday?
been, but if I did, I would.
Right.
Avant-garde?
You've said that one, haven't you?
No, avant-garde.
Avant-garde.
What's that mean?
Avant-garde, well, it means fashionable, doesn't it?
Avant-garde? No, I don't think it does, actually.
What does it mean, then?
An avant-garde...
It's also the type of Mercedes. an
It's sort of
avant-garde.
cutting edge, it is avant-garde.
fashionable.
Right, ingenui.
How is that different?
Ingenui?
Ingenue.
Ingenue?
Yeah. Ingenue.
Now, what's an ingenue?
I'm going to see an ingenue in January.
Yeah, what's an
Well, an ingenue is the description of someone who is sort of slightly
New.
Slightly kind of, but not just new.
Yeah.
Kind of innocent in a
Yeah.
way.
What does a footballer make when he plays his first game?
A fool of himself.
No, his debut.
Okay.
French word, okay. What about...
How about debutante?
Debutante, that's right. That's somebody who's in a place. So you see all these words.
Somebody who's in a place.
Cul-de-sac, what's the...
Well, you've already told me that.
Yeah, but
one.
what's the exact
Well,
definition?
you used to live in a cul-de-sac.
I did.
It's a dead end, isn't it?
It's not. It means... cul-de-sac means something of... It means without exit. Without exit,
No,
okay?
sac is French for bag, right? Sac.
Oh, yeah. It's bottomless bag.
Bottomless.
The
No,
bottomless
it's not.
bag.
It's the exact opposite of that. It's the end of the bag.
End of the bag.
It's quite an appropriate place for you to live, actually.
Now, maisonnette, right? Maisonnette. That's French
Well,
for house.
maison is house, right?
Yeah.
So maisonnette, presumably, is small house.
Small house. Yeah.
It's not difficult, this. Did you study French?
Yes, I did, yes.
Did you? To what level?
O-level.
You've got an O-level in French, have
No,
you?
I failed it, actually.
You
But
failed it?
Yeah, but I did
So
study
you've got
it.
14 O-levels,
Yes.
but you failed French?
Yes, that's right.
Did you fail any others?
No, not to my knowledge.
So you took 15 O-levels?
Yes.
And you only failed French?
No, I failed physics as well.
So you took 16
Must have
O-levels?
taken 16, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So without French and physics, how can you get to 14?
Well, I just did, because I took a...
We've
I was
tried
very
this
bright.
before.
Yeah.
You were very bright, yeah. Sadly,
Yeah.
that doesn't
No,
seem
no,
to have
no, not at all. Not at
reminisced,
all.
throughout the rest of your life. Anyway,
Yeah.
we've run out of time now.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you like to say au revoir?
No, I'd like to say you have a petite brain.
How about abianto?
No, abianto is
That means
Spanish.
see you soon.
No, it's Spanish.